Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to all of you. So, on behalf of the Center for Science and Environment and the Institute of Town Planner, Haryana chapter, I would like to warmly welcome you all today for this workshop on driving clean air action in Haryana, scaling sustainable transport and dust free infrastructure. So, this workshop brings us together at an important moment as Haryana moves forward with the Haryana Clean Air Project for Sustainable Development. Our focus today is on translating this ambition into effective implementation, particularly in two priority areas, which are sustainable urban transport and construction and demolition waste management. The discussions will draw on experiences from Haryana as well as lessons from other cities and states with the objective of identifying practical pathways for strengthening implementation, institutional coordination, and scaling up. To formally begin today's program, may I request our guests to kindly join us on the stage. May I invite Mr. PP Singh, Chief Town Planner, to please join us on the stage. I would also like to invite Mr. Rajneesh Sareen, Program Director, Sustainable Habitat Program at the Center for Science and Environment, to kindly join us. And also, I would like to request Ms. Anumita Roy Chaudhary, Executive Director, Research and Advocacy at the Center for Science and Environment, to please join us on the stage. May I now request our guests to kindly participate in the ceremonial watering of the plant, symbolizing our collective commitment to a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future. So, thank you so much. May I now request everyone to please take their seats? We will now formally begin the proceedings. To start with the workshop, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. PP Singh. He is the Chief Town Planner to deliver the opening remarks.
So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf, thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the Haryana Regional Chapter of Institute of Town Planners India, I welcome you all to this lovely workshop. Uh, Especially the entire team from Center for Science and Environment who have designed the entire workshop, conceived it, and I wish to place on record my huge appreciation for the entire CSC team for that, which is led by Madam Anumita and Mr. Rajneesh, and they have given a lot of technical guidance and support for this and fixed up all the technical sessions, and we are sure we are going to have a wonderful learning experience from here. We are extremely grateful, ma'am, for your presence, and we appreciate your leadership in addressing the air pollution in NCR region. Your guidance is crucial in tackling the environmental challenges, and we look forward to your insights during the workshop. Uh, the Haryana regional chapter was established in 2003-4, so we are completing close to 24 years this year, and it has been a long way. And this building was inaugurated in 2003, and since then we have been there have been several ups and downs. Likewise, there have been at times there have been many such technical functions. At times, we have been not been able to put so much of effort, and we hope that in future we have more and more such technical sharing of experiences so that it brings all round development to the profession. We have distinguished speakers for the day, and I thanks to all of them for sparing their valuable time and joining us for this workshop. Uh, just a strong, we all deserve a strong round of applause from everyone to start the entire program. We have a very strong contingent from the Chandigarh College of Architecture, led by our principal ma'am herself, and we have a delegation from Sushant School of Architecture. We have representatives from the lovely professional university and our fellow town planners from various departments. Many of them actually couldn't come because of the ensuing Vidhan Sabha session, which starts day after tomorrow. So otherwise, we were expecting much more participation, but one being a weekday and another the Vidhan Sabha, so we couldn't have much stronger participation from our offices. But I hope so. This conference will enhance our understanding of environmental challenges, primarily the air pollution part and the how the construction and demolition waste needs to be tackled, and how can we further promote the electrical vehicles in our state, and this will guide us to finding solutions for all of us. Thank you all for your presence once again, and I wish a very fruitful conference. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful remarks and for setting the tone for today's discussion. I would now like to invite Mr. Rajneesh Sareen, Program Director with the Sustainable Habitat Program at Center for Science and Environment, to share a brief overview of CSE's work on cleaner and sustainable urban development and its association and partnership with the Institute of Town Planners, Haryana chapter, in supporting Haryana's cleaner action.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I don't feel very delighted when I talk about that we are discussing air pollution because, it's a problem which we are trying to discuss, and most of us will be trying to see that how we can solve this with quoting a lot of examples from those towns which, in any case, fails to great extent. But there are incremental steps which are trying to at least not make our situation that worse. So, I'm not sure that how well we responded to this situation, but in fact, last 40 years since or little more than that we have been working in Delhi, where we've seen gradually a lot of you can say steps being taken initially from where people didn't understood it as a subject of a byproduct of a development. Today we understand it's a huge byproduct of development where, yes, with a lot of town planning initiatives and the direction which we take decides the journey of a city to be whether in a good or a bad shape to great extent, because we have certain elements which why we're discussing only two elements largely, you can say mobility and as well as CND, because these are largely which are influenced with the development as a criteria, because one is mobility which is very heavy. It's going to be decided the way you design your cities and your FARs and the form which is going to take. So over the years, there is 100, you can say more than 130, and now I think 140 plus cities are the one which fails on their report card of air pollution. So we are more and more number of cities are now getting into this rigor, And that's where the National Clean Air Action Plans come in, where Government of India wanted that we need to take certain good steps and have a learning from there. So though the journey of this has been almost more than 40 years since CSC has been working, from the days when the CNG got introduced, the buses, the mobility, the transport variations, even to great extent, largely these bypasses which we use, and we think about the eastern periphery and western periphery, they are largely being done so that Delhi can have lesser number of congestion, or then vehicles comes in, the Bharat Stage 6 comes in, mobility transaction changes, EV comes in. So a lot of steps which incrementally a city like Delhi has seen, and similarly the other 134, 135 cities have done. So what we present to you today is about the experiences from these various cities. These cities will you will hear from the journey of Mumbai, how Mumbai has been working. You will hear how Hyderabad is doing well, maybe Kolkata, another city, and Delhi certainly to great extent. So you'll get an experience of multi mega cities and how they are trying to deal with this with the different incremental steps, because every city has not done everything correctly, but there are certain steps which one of the city must have done, documented really well. So those kind of case studies will be presented to you, so that we get a fair understanding and have a confidence also that it's not all that bad, but there are certain good initiatives which are happening. And so far, yes. And in case we're still struggling to find where is the good example of urban planning which can actually try and reduce that, but that's why we want you to focus at this early stages of your career, because if we don't design well, what will happen is eventually whatever plastic surgeries we keep doing for our city, they'll not solve the problem. So first, that's why a lot of you who are coming from the college also and from academia, they're very important partners in this, because effectively when we come in, it's the time when you can say the design and the planning is almost failed, and then we try to do whatever. You can say our city is there in ICU and with the multiple operations. Sometime we bring this kind of operation and the patient revives to some extent, and then something else, he go for a party and again he derails the whole system, and then we bring for another operation. So that's what we have been doing. But if imagine you have a good lifestyle, if you have a healthy lifestyle and the stuff, so how are you going to deal with, that's more important. And plus it's more important for your generation to learn this, because effectively we still have 2 or 3 months of discomfort at our generation, but imagine what is going to happen in your generation. Maybe this discomfort will expand to much larger methods. Like for example, this year in Delhi, it's the only thing which helps you is rains, and to great extent the wind. So that means the dependency on nature, like that is increasing. Though we say that we have a lot of infrastructure, we work on effective various methods and methodologies, yes, they have an incremental direction of a change, but the one which helps you the most is the weather in this case. So how we'll make that our planning or a systematic methods of planning become much more robust as compared to just depending on nature. We don't want a nature-based economy in terms of nature dependent, always a kind of air pollution economy, who just depend on the final crux of that. Okay, let's expect for a rains, nothing else, or maybe do seeding or something like that. But that's not a permanent solution. Solution will come from the drive which we take, the kind of design, the patterns which we follow, and in fact, the kind of commitment from citizens will come in. I think with all this whatever half day workshop is going to have some meaningful discussions, which I am sure everybody will carry back home and try to see that how much they can contribute in their general life as well as in the professional life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing CSC's journey and the importance of this partnership with ITPI chapter, Haryana chapter. So now I would like to move to the next context setting presentation for today's workshop. It is my pleasure to invite Ms. Anumita Roy Chaudhary. She is the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy at the Center for Science and Environment, to set the context by sharing emerging lessons from the transport and construction and demolition waste sectors.
Thanks so much, Shanti. So at the outset, Mr. Singh, it is always a delight to be at the ITPI forum. It's such an amazing constituency and a network, just not amazing, but such a powerful forum and a platform, which we very strongly believe is going to power the change in the future. Because a lot of the issues that Mr. Singh and Rajneesh they highlighted, we know the challenges are big, but to find the solutions to those challenges to make that a reality, and the urban and planning solutions that we are looking for, a lot of that is going to emerge from all of you sitting in this room. So you are really the new generation cadre of professionals who are going to take on the new principles of planning, bring us out of the fossilized way of looking at things, understand how to join the dots, and therefore push us all towards the big solution. So today, this conversation, as Rajneesh pointed out, that it's very deliberately designed for peer learning. And as we have said, that we have got an eminent panel of speakers today who will be sharing with you the emerging learning from different applications in different fields of mobility and construction and demolition waste management. So, what are we going to really be talking about? Because as this whole conversation unfolds, you will realize that the diversity of the issues are amazing. And how do we therefore bring them all together within a definable logical framework that helps us to understand that how do we align action in different sectors to make the change possible. So the context of this uh, it's not moving. Oh, it's fine. I'll use the arrow. Fine. Uh, So, as Mr. Singh and Rajneesh told you, that everything that we are going to discuss today will be within our uh, clean air imperatives in our cities and the public health security that we are all aiming for. And this is no brainer that today the air that we breathe, and all of you and all of us who live in the Delhi NCR region, particularly, and a big part of Haryana is in the Delhi NCR region. And then, of course, uh, we know that as the winter is approaching now, and the impossible smog that engulfs that entire region, and what it does to our health. The studies are mounting today to tell us how each and every organ in our body is impacted by air pollution. And this is a visible, you can look at data as much as you want, but when you have this kind of visible impact in front of you, that what it is doing to our lungs, to our blood barrier, to the different organs in the body, it clearly tells us that how urgent the issue is, and therefore we have to really upscale action to be able to address the public health challenge. In this context, many of you would know that today, uh, as far as the air pollution conversation in this country is concerned, a lot of attention is on the entire Indo-Gangetic plain. And when we say Indo-Gangetic plain, this whole northern belt of India, where you have about 7 states of India, including Haryana and Delhi. And when we talk about high pollution levels in Delhi, for instance, during that time, as you will see, when we look at the entire region, looking at all the states in the Indo-Gangetic plain, it's so clear that how well the pollution is synchronized. So when during winter Delhi is polluted, Haryana is polluted, it is just not these states, but as you can see, these red bands, they are so well synchronized across the entire region. And this is also because of the constraint that we have of this geography, which is landlocked, very poor ventilation, and then during winter, due to atmospheric conditions, air gets trapped and therefore the pollution. And that's when you begin to see this kind of massive spiral happening. So it's always good to see, therefore, this entire belt together. And where is Haryana in this? So as you can see that over a period of time, we are beginning to see mixed trends in pollution levels in different states of the Indo-Gangetic Plain. And even in Haryana today, we are still looking at another 40% reduction in the overall particulate pollution in the region, overall region, to be able to meet the clean air standards. And this is challenging, and because as studies have now begun in this state of Haryana, and we now have specific studies in Gurgaon, in Faridabad, and you can see that these have estimated where the pollution is coming from. And there are different sources of pollution. There's a vehicles, industry, power plants, construction. So you burn waste, and then, of course, the agricultural crop burning. So there are large number of the pollution sources in the entire region with varying proportion. But clearly, what we are finding now that as this region is urbanizing very rapidly, construction is also increasing very rapidly with huge exposure impact. And then vehicles that are among the top 2 or 3 pollution sources in these cities of Haryana. In this context, as you would also know, that currently there are 2 programs that are deciding the way forward in this region. One is the National Clean Air Program, which has given a very clear target to the cities of this region to reduce pollution. And on top of that, we now have a dedicated program which has been funded by the World Bank now. And Haryana has developed a clean air program for sustainable development. So it is a very focused program with about $300 million committed to this program alone in this state. And in this, they are targeting vehicles, construction, industries, and agricultural burning. So, across these sectors, now concerted efforts are going to be made to be able to control emissions from these critical sources of pollution. So, if that is the way forward, and if this is going to decide the next generation action in Haryana, then what are the lessons that we really want to focus on? The reason why, from the beginning, why am I using this concept of Indo-Gangetic Plain and airshed? That's something we really have to make it very clear. Because I could have just said state of Haryana. Because the science is telling us all the time that pollution does not remain confined within the political boundary of a state. It blows between boundaries. And one of the biggest lessons that have come is from your neighboring Delhi. So in Delhi today during winter, when the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, they estimate where the pollution is coming from, it's fascinating. So when you look at only the sources that belong to Delhi, then among them, the vehicles are at the top. They contribute about 50% of the problem. But if you take the overall pollution of Delhi and also look at the where the pollution is coming from outside Delhi, then you will find that about 60 to 70% of the pollution in Delhi is actually coming from outside Delhi. So it is not Delhi's own pollution all the time. Now, this is what is very critical for us to understand, because when we talk about action, we cannot keep our action confined within the municipal boundary of any one city. It has to be across the region. And if we do not do that across the region, then a city like Delhi or a city like Gurugram will not be able to meet the clean air benchmark, because pollution will always be coming from outside. Now, before we go deeper, there's another science that I would like to make you aware of. That today, the same pollutants that we talk about, which harming our health, now the climate science is saying that the same pollutants are also absorbing heat. So, while they harm health, the local pollution, They are also absorbing heat like NOx, like black carbon, which are part of the particulate matter. And therefore, when they absorb heat, they're also warming up and heating up the pollution, the region all around. In fact, we have found very good correlation between the heat maps of cities and the pollution map of the cities, which fit very closely and very snugly with each other. And that's why now the new science is telling us that when you decide on any action, you have to look for co control and co benefit. So it's not that today, if you're looking at air pollution, you will say, okay, I want to control air pollution because I want to protect my health. And then tomorrow you say, no, doing this because I want to protect the climate. They are saying don't keep them in silos. Combine your action in such a way that with same action you are able to reduce both together. Now, within that, therefore, as all our speakers are going to tell you a lot of things about today, we are going to emphasize on two critical principles to move forward. And the one principle of pollution control is circularity. And the second principle is to move towards zero emission transition. And that's what we really want to understand. Now, when you look at circularity, and I'm not going to go into detail about this because the team as well as our speakers here will tell you a lot more about it. But I just want to highlight the fact that we have had the opportunity to work with the urban local bodies in Haryana to understand and assess that the scale and the magnitude of the construction waste in the state. And therefore, we now have the opportunity to work with the urban local bodies to look into that how do you therefore develop an ecosystem approach to collect, to segregate, to transfer, and then the full material recovery from the waste. And this infrastructure development that is needed in Haryana, we are mapping that with huge granularity to understand how do you do that management very well. And lot of capacity building work is happening around that. But clearly, the lot of issues that are emerging from here, that for any good waste management and to have a good plan, do we even there are do we even know how much waste are we generating? Because if you do not know that, you will never be able to design your infrastructure to be able to deal with that. But we have very little and limited understanding of that. And therefore, how do we therefore build the systems and the standard operating procedures of the urban local bodies to be able to implement those measures? And you will hear a lot more about it as we go forward, because the principle here, as I emphasized earlier, that the pollution control effort here is looking at not just simply that you create the waste and you manage the waste somehow. It is actually about building a new economy around waste, that the same waste comes back to construction as a resource. How do you build value chain around it? How the planning approaches are designed to enable that process, and therefore, this circularity is the critical intervention point for value addition, to build new economy, to build new jobs, build new livelihoods. And therefore, waste is just not a waste, but a source of massive economic stimulus. So that's what we will understand when we hear our speakers from other cities of India. Similarly, there's another dimension of circularity, because you are now quite used to talking about vehicular pollution from a technology perspective or for a planning and design perspective. So when we talk about the technology perspective, we mention and we talk about how the technology roadmap for vehicles are improving, right? And then how do you get rid of the old vehicles so that the polluting vehicles are taken off the road? And the third is the mobility strategy, that how do you design your cities in such a way that you're able to upscale the mobility transition, that more and more people can then begin to use public transport, minimize the use of personal vehicles. Now, all of these strategies are beginning to take shape in this country, but are they coming together? Now, there are many issues here. I'm not going to get into all of that, but within the Haryana context, just want to highlight some of the issues which are not usually talked about much. We know the motorization has taken off hugely in Haryana cities, especially in the bigger cities of Haryana. We know that when you look at the modal share data that exists for the Haryana cities, that the bigger cities like Gurugram, Faridabad, we see that the modal share for private cars and the vehicles are substantially high. And this is expected to increase with time. So it is, and that's so motorization, continuous shift towards personal mobility are going to lock in enormous pollution in the future. But so far, we have been dealing with this problem by controlling the emissions by improving the technology. So, from Bharat Stage 1, you have come to Bharat Stage 6, and we have seen massive reduction in emissions over a period of time. The vehicles that are sold today are several times, in fact, the BS6 vehicle is 35 times cleaner than the BS1 vehicle, right? So clearly, the technology has really turned around quite a bit. But when we look at it from the perspective of on road vehicles, the vehicles that have already come on the road, of course, the newer vehicles are going to be cleaner, but you have a huge issue of legacy vehicles. And when again you look across the IGP, what you find today that Haryana has the fifth highest stock of vehicles in this region, right? But when you look at it from the perspective of what fuel vehicles that are being used most in Haryana, then you see that the Haryana is the fourth largest user of diesel, which is the extremely toxic and a polluting fuel, right? Now, when you have this kind of legacy fleet and that too on a highly toxic fuel, that is locking in enormous pollution. And we now know from Niti Aayog and other studies that how the polluting vehicles, the grossly polluting vehicles, and the old generation vehicles are responsible for high amount of pollution, especially when you look at the diesel segment, the most polluting. That's where you find that the diesel heavy duty vehicles, trucks and buses that are locking in huge amount of pollution. So within that, now let's understand another point. So in Delhi and NCR, as you know, initially because of the Supreme Court and then subsequently because of the Commission on Air Quality CAQM, lot of new directives have come in the region, which is actually talking about that how do you phase out old vehicles. Delhi has today banned 10-year-old diesel vehicles and the and 15-year-old petrol vehicles. Now, this is so when Delhi is doing that, clearly that will also have a cascading effect on the surrounding states like Haryana. And this is what we're really trying to understand today. So it's very interesting that because Delhi had to take so much of decisions, move out because they had to implement the largest ever CNG program for the vehicles, the all public transport, commercial transport had to move to CNG, right? And now the new electrification process has started. As you can see from the 2025 and 26 bar on this graph, that Delhi has seen quite a massive transition, that the petrol and the share of petrol and diesel vehicles have dropped dramatically. Now, because it's happening there, if you also compare the Haryana's fleet with the 2021, you find that even in Haryana, we are beginning to see big changes. You are beginning to see much higher share of cleaner vehicles and also electric vehicles now. But as we have seen here, what is very fascinating that when one region in one city in the same region begins to take action, it also has cascading impact on its surrounding region as well. So in Delhi, we can see dramatic reduction in the registration of goods vehicle because of all the controls that have come in. But in Haryana, because of the controls in Delhi, the goods vehicle registrations in the last couple of years have increased very significantly. But that is also bringing in BS6, But understand, therefore, if we are not taking harmonized decision across the region, then it has a trade-off. So Delhi might try to control a lot of problems, but it might have a cascading impact on Haryana. But at the end of the day, what is it that we are really trying to achieve when we talk about all these different measures? Just see how dramatic that, because we often are not mindful of what it is therefore helping us to achieve. If you look at Delhi, for instance, over a period of time, we have seen a dramatic change in the mix of the fuel in the transport sector of Delhi. In fact, if you really look at it, the overall, the diesel vehicle registration has dropped by 72%. And the use of diesel fuel in the city has also dramatically reduced in that region from about 40% to 27%. Now, this energy transition, because whether you are looking at it from the perspective of technology improvement or mobility improvement, the test of the success of your intervention has to show up in the way that energy mix is changing in the transport sector. And that's the reason why we would like to say that we have to now, now Haryana also has to now begin to track the changes in the similar way. Another dramatic, as part of the circularity, because you will hear a lot more about the circularity in the construction sector later on. But have you ever thought about circularity in the vehicle sector? And what does that mean? Because at best, you have heard about the vehicles, and the old vehicles are to be taken out of the city. But what is the circularity element in the vehicle sector? Now, if you really look at it, today, the government of India has actually come up with a rule that all commercial vehicles will have to go to automated testing centers. And based on those tests, those fail will have to be declared as an end of life vehicle. And those will have to be scrapped. Now, another interesting part of that story is that the new rules have also said, and it's very interesting for you to understand, which you will also hear in the context of CND regulations later on. Government of India is also saying that by 2030, the new vehicles that will be produced in this country, at least 18% of the steel that the new vehicles are going to use will have to come from the recycled steel from the scrapping of the old vehicles. Now, just imagine how our rules are changing, circularity rules are changing. So, which means when if you're buying a Tata vehicle or a Maruti vehicle, then the 18% of the new vehicle in 2030 must have recycled steel in it. But that is possible only if you are able to identify the old vehicles properly and the end of life vehicles properly, and your scrappage centers are able to dismantle them on time to be able to recover that material. So that's complete. So that means that the way we now going to do our emission testing has to go much beyond this normal and corrupt PUC program that we have in our country today. So now that whole conversation is now moving towards how do you do remote sensing of the and other on-road emission monitoring systems, which will help us to identify these end-of-life vehicles more efficiently. And now a lot of global good practices have emerged. Today in Japan, if you have to buy a new vehicle, at the time of the purchase of the vehicle, you also have to pay for its future recycling, right? Now, these are the kind of new approaches that are emerging today. So, this is so one clear strategy that we have been talking about in the transport sector is therefore that how do you renew the fleet, how do you get rid of the old and polluting vehicles, how do you get rid of end of life vehicles and achieve circularity of material. But with that handle, we now also want to move not just to a yet another cleaner vehicle, but to completely a zero emission vehicle. Today, Haryana has come up with its own electric vehicle policy. It has got a lot of incentive program for the consumers and also for the infrastructure development. And as you can see that now at this moment, Haryana has achieved about just about 4% electrification, right? Delhi has achieved about 13%, right? But clearly now the conversation that is moving towards is that if you really want to be moved towards zero emission, your strategies for zero emission vehicles will have to be much stronger and more committed to create a new market for all of us. So that means that currently the the EV policy that you have, which are giving you incentive, consumer incentive to buy new vehicles, but new electric vehicle, that strategy now has to shift more towards the creating a mandate, giving you the target for ZEV, that is a zero emission vehicle. And that's the strategy that we are talking about. So if Haryana today is working on the EV2 zero policy, then the critical strategy in that will be that in addition to giving incentive, you should also be providing clear targets and mandate to the for procurement mandate, sales mandate to the OEMs and also those who are buying the vehicles so that you are able to create an upscaled market. Within that, therefore, that procurement mandate is now playing out very strongly in the bus market. And we are so happy, therefore, to have our speakers here from Bangalore and from Bombay to tell us that how this win-win strategy, where you are upscaling the electric mobility with zero emission electric buses, but that is also a means to improve service quality of the electric bus or the bus system in the country. And that's where we really want to move towards, because government of India today has come up with all the incentive program which will add up to finally buying about 50,000 buses in the future. But keep in mind that with what we will hear from our speakers today, it is also very important that the scaling up of this segment is absolutely critical so that a new industry gets created around the electric bus program. In fact, our very recent study that we have done, it shows that the current capacity to produce electric buses that have been created in India at the current level of demand, we are utilizing only 10% of that capacity. Just imagine, therefore, if all cities are today able to upscale and build that, and more OEMs diversification happens with all more, so that is really going to give us the big transition forward. So I'm not getting into the segment wise electrification, but just to tell you that because the theme today is so much focused on the circularity, whether of construction or whether vehicle sector, yet this is yet another circularity issue that has come up in the electric vehicle battery ecosystem. So it is fascinating today that the electric vehicles that are coming on the road, the batteries, once they are spent, then it becomes a source of mining the material out of that battery to be able to create new batteries for the future, right? So now, in fact, the government of India has given another target to the battery manufacturers in this country to say that the new batteries should also have a certain percentage of its minerals, critical minerals, as those mined from the older batteries. Now, imagine, therefore, with this, how the whole system is changing. The only purpose of deviating from very conventional planning stories to the technology oriented story is actually to make this critical point that in future lot of new implications are going to emerge from the way the technology transition is going to happen in the vehicle sector. And therefore, the final, which we have not gone deep into, and just to conclude with it, is that while this technology transition is going to have a lot of bearing on the way we plan and design in the future, it will, of course, have to be done along with the way we design our cities. So when we are talking about designing cities for sustainability, so it's fascinating that in the same state of Haryana, you have Gurugram and you have Panchkula. Now, in Gurugram, where, when you're looking at the road design, and imagine today with metro coming, with electric buses coming, if the road design does not transform, then despite the technology transformation that we have just talked about, it will not be able to deliver on its stated objective of sustainable mobility. And yet, when we look at Panchkula, which is so much more sensible in its planning and design approach, which is a lot more people centric than the design that we see in Gurugram. And in fact, this illustration that you see on the slide is actually from the hotel room where we are staying in Panchkula. I mean, for a hotel to advertise in a city that, look, this is how you can access cycling, right? This is not something that you see normally in any other city. The fact that the attitude towards mobility can change this way, that is what needs for celebration. So, this is the combination of strategies that we are looking at. So, while the technology improvement is going to happen, with that, the new generation design approaches that are emerging in our cities today, with low emission zone approach, with sustainable road design, complete street approach, with multimodal integration design approach, all of these will have to be upscaled, which essentially means that we are now really talking about building new cities around new technology and new design to make it sustainable, livable, and to protect our health. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting the agenda for the further discussion. Uh, Now we'll move into. So I'll request sir if to please take your chairs. Now we'll move into our next session, which is I'll request ma'am to stay back because to moderate the next sessions. Yeah. So okay. So we'll start our next technical session. Uh, so this session is largely focused on two key areas. One is electrification of buses and electrification of urban freight sectors. So why buses? Just to give you a brief, why you are talking about only we have taken these two sectors because uh, in case of buses, we know almost 80 to 85, 90% people of urban India use buses on their day-to-day commuting, and that's why we call buses as the prime movers for Indian population, right? Particularly the urban India. Now, if we convert these buses into electric buses, we are not only converting one vehicle into cleaner vehicle, another cleaner vehicle. We are actually converting millions of trips into electric trips. So you are zero emission trips. So in that way, you are actually saving a lot of pollution from that angle. So that's why bus sector electrification is very important. Another thing, government is also kind of focused keen on. We know that over the last 10 years, electrification of buses is happening in a very large way. So that's why we have to focus on electrifying buses in a big way. Another thing is that in the road sector, we know among the all the different vehicle segments which kind of pollute the pollutions which transportation pollution coming from the road sector, large chunk of road pollutions is actually coming from the heavy duty vehicles, which is the freight segment. So if we also look into the freight segments and we can remove these heavy duty old vehicles into greener vehicles, and then that is also kind of heavily going to reduce our pollution from the urban transport sector from the cities. And additionally, this transport demand or this freight demand is also increasing. We know recently our this entire the e-commerce and fast commerce days, so we are more and more, and as our cities are also growing, our traffic, the logistic demand is also increasing. So from that angle also, if we kind of address this issue from here, trying to convert these segments into electric, it will going to give a big results. So now, without making any further delay, let me call our speakers for these sessions. Now, our first speaker is Mr. Prabhakar Reddy. He is the Chief Traffic Manager from KSRTC, Karnataka State Road Transport Corporation, which is, we know KSRTC is one of the largest RTCs in India, and they are also kind of in a verge of converting their fleets into electric fleet. And before KSRTC, Sir was the CTO of BMTC, which is another city bus, one of the biggest city bus organizations in India. Our next speaker is Mr. Srinivas Rao. He's the former Deputy General Manager of Transport Engineering Division of BEST. BEST, we all know, Bombay, Brihan Mumbai Electricities and Supplied Transport Corporations. So it is also one of the key Indian STUs which provides city bus services. And over the last 5-10 years also, BEST is largely they are actually in a way they have decided to, they have taken a policy decision to convert all of their fleets into electric fleets. And also and then another key thing is, in Maharashtra as a state, they have also decided to use, there are various clean air fund also, where other states are also only using the bus funds like fame fund or PM bus fund for converting their electric buses, where state of Maharashtra has decided policy decisions where they are also using clean air funds to convert their buses into electric. So that is also something you can also learn, and how to do it, and what Haryana can do. Our next speaker is Mr. Jayant Deshmukh. He's a bus expert which is having more than 20 years of experience in the bus sector, and he's currently also supporting a lot of various institutes like World Bank, ADB, to support their bus deployments. And our last speaker, Miss Kanika Rohila. She's a consultant from P Manifold, and she's mainly going to talk about the how to all the strategies to electrify the urban freight sector. So now over to you, ma'am. Yes, these are the presentations of all the.
Thanks a lot, Shayan. Put it on. Um, so this is going to be the very exciting 2 sessions that we are looking forward to, and it's so wonderful to have you from different cities of India, and this is a great way to learn from each other, and especially knowing that today Haryana is also deploying and upscaling its electric bus system. So, and you have already done it. So clearly, this means that there is a huge scope of learning from each other. And that's exactly what we plan to do today. So we are very excited now, therefore, to invite Mr. Prabhakar Reddy. And Mr. Reddy, as Shayan said, that you have very vast experience, and especially Bangalore and Karnataka, where we know that BMTC and then KSRTC, you have always been in the leading position as far as bus operations been concerned in this country, and you have seen so many different innovation. So we would like to hear from you that what is the learning and what would you want to share with Haryana?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, madam. I will start with BMTC since I worked for 4 years, and in BMTC we implemented about 1,799 electric buses as on date. As on date, I will start with BMTC electric bus journey. BMTC is a city transport corporations. We operates about 6,300 schedules with 7,000 bus fleet, next only to Delhi, out of which we have got 1,799 electric buses, which contributes about 26% of our total fleet. Out of which we are making 65,000 trips per day. In 1,800 routes we are operating and carrying about 45 lakh passengers on daily basis. We have got 50 depots, out of which 14 are exclusive electric depots and 3 are hybrid depots. and we have got 10 traffic transport transit management centers, that is big bus stations with real estate, 40 bus stations. Our area of operation is around 65 kilometer from city center. We predominantly covers Bangalore city district, Bangalore North, Bangalore South, and part of Tumkur, Chikballapur, and Kolar districts. And the first electric bus operation started in the year 2021 in BMTC. That means we have got roughly more than 5 years of experience with electric bus operation. During the entire these 1799 electric bus operations, I was the operation head for implementing these buses and also agreement signing authority for these buses. And after seeing 5 years all these electric buses, we have got I will say in these three heads, what are the advantages of electric bus operation, what are the problems, and way forward. The advantages when it comes to electric buses, everybody knows that these are pollution free, both in the form of air and sound, comfortable journey, passenger preference is more in electric buses. If you go to Bangalore, if you see from point A to point B, if I operate both electric and diesel buses, the electric bus earning is more than 3 to 4 rupee per kilometer. The passenger preference is very high in these electric buses. Since these electric buses are most of the electric buses in in India or in Karnataka operated in GCC model, that is gross cost contract model, wherein the OEMs, original equipment manufacturer, they supply the bus, they maintain the buses, they create the charging infrastructure. Fourthly, they provide the drivers to the buses. What is the role of STUs or city transport corporations? We provide the depot as is where is condition, the one point. The second point is bringing 11 kVA electric line to the depot gate. And thirdly, we are supplying conductors. Finally, we will make the payment on per kilometer basis operations. And cost of operation is less when compared to diesel buses. So see, in BMTC, our daily earning is around 7.5 crore. Our cost is 10 crore 10 crore per day. That means there is every day we are losing 2.5 crore with our operations. This means why we are losing 2.5 crore. For that, there are so many reasons. I will not discuss much about at this juncture. But when I operate diesel buses, I am losing 20 rupees per kilometer. That is, our cost per kilometer is 82 rupees. Our earning per kilometer is 62 rupees. If I operate 1 kilometer, I will lose 20 rupees in diesel buses. If I operate electric buses, for example, the TML, Tata Motor Limited, they supplied about 1089 buses at GCC rate of 41 rupee. 41 rupee, wherein we are making break even, or in some depots we are making profits out of it. If I take all the electric buses, 1700 electric buses per kilometer, that is margin per kilometer is around 7 to 8 rupees I am losing. If I operate diesel buses instead, I will lose 20 rupees. That is, if you take 8 rupee loss and if you take 20 rupees loss, that means to say we are gaining 12 rupee per operated kilometer of electric buses. And the CPKM escalation, that is cost per escalation in diesel buses, usually at the rate of 7.5 to 8%. Whereas if I operate electric buses, the CPKM, that is cost per kilometer increase year on year, is hardly 2 to 2.5%. If I operate 5 years of electric bus operation, the cumulative cost per kilometer growth is around 10%. If I operate diesel buses, it will be around 40 to 50% increase in cost. And what are the disadvantages at present we are facing with these electric buses? Most of the buses received in first phase of operation, that is during 21-22, are having battery issues. Battery deterioration is very fast. As per the agreement, they have to replace the batteries after completion of 5 years. But at the third year itself, they are getting the battery degradation and also the charging efficiency. Once they charge, as per the agreement, they have to cover 200 kilometer or 150 kilometer. the battery degrades at 100 kilometers. Completed SOC level, state of charge, it comes to 10%, 20% sometime. And the rate of breakdown and accidents are very high in electric buses at present when compared to diesel buses, purely not because of the bus. As far as my experience goes, it is not because of the buses, but because of poor maintenance and inexperienced drivers. The regularity is very poor in electric buses. The flash strikes by the drivers, it also affects the reputation of the organization. The poor HR management. For example, I will say, to operate a bus, we need 2.3 drivers comfortably to meet Motor Transport Workers Act, but wherein they are supplying crew at 1.8 to 2 ratio. What it indicates, to operate 100 schedules, we need to operate 100 electric buses, we need 230 buses, wherein they are supplying 180 to 200 drivers. What will happen to the fatigue of the drivers? See, what they are doing now, if they operate 100 buses, about 30 to 40 buses are operated with drivers having completed 8 hours duty. They are going for another 8 hours duty. That is, in city like Bangalore, operating 16 hours without a rest is it is not a easy thing. That is where their operation is affecting. It affects in the three important parameters. One is the rate of breakdown will go up, the rate of accidents also will high, and at the same time the regularity will be affected. And what I say, the unpredictable operations. See, during the time of salaries, these drivers go off for 5 to 10 days. They will not inform us well in advance also. During morning time, we will start at 6 o'clock, the shift operation will start. During that time, they will running short with the drivers. And the important factor is over dependence on China for most of the electric bus components. It is purely dependent on geopolitical situation. Sometimes, especially the batteries and rare earth material, we are completely dependent on China. And operating these buses are just like operating in train. See, this electric bus operation is just like operating a train on the track. See, for example, if I operate a distance of 180 kilometer, I should operate 180 kilometer. We provided opportunity charging location at some point. The bus has to reach that point for charging. For example, if I operate a diesel bus, straight away I will say that the tank capacity is around 180 to 210 liters. In city operation, average consumption of HSD is around 50 liters per day. Without topping of HSD, I can run for 2 to 3 days without any hindrance. Whereas these electric buses, they should be charged every day, twice, minimum once. If any electricity disruption happens, definitely operation will also hampers. And at the same time, if you operate, for example, a 3-acre depot is ideal to operate 75 schedules. What we say, if I convert the diesel depot into electric bus, I will operate only 75 schedules or 75 electric buses. If I am ready to operate 100 buses of diesel buses, the same depot will be in a position to operate only 75 buses, for the simple reason we have to create a electric infrastructure within the depot. It occupies about 10 to 15% of the total area. Automatically it reduces the space, and also for charging of these buses, minimum 1 to 1.5 hour charging is required, whereas diesel top up takes hardly 10 to 15 minutes. Since electric bus operation is the order of the day, what is the way forward? We should make some modification, some changes in the initial stage itself to bring some acceptable adjustments. The first one is, see, most of the cities, what we are facing today, the buses are ready, electric infrastructure is not ready. The first and foremost thing is getting the electric 11 kVA line is well in advance is the most important criteria. Most of the time, electric buses are ready, but electric infrastructure is incomplete. It involves the role of ESCOMs, municipal local bodies for road cutting, the coordination efforts of road transport corporations, ESCOMs, and municipal bodies are required here. The second one is, while going for tender itself, we have to ask for the high battery capacities. See, I will say like this. See, the NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, their subsidiary has participated in one of the tender and they won the bid. They supplied the electric buses through JBM consortium. Their battery capacity is 169 kilowatt hours. The single charge, the battery should run for 150 kilometers. Here the problem is they failed to assess the Bangalore traffic scenario and also load factor in our buses. In Karnataka, all women passengers are allowed to travel free. BMTC load factor is around more than 80%. They have not assessed it. See what is happening now. We provided opportunity charging after completion of the 150 kilometer. Their battery is discharging at 100 kilometer itself. That means to say, the electric bus should be charged twice. The ones at basic charging in the depot and opportunity charging in the opportunity charging location, wherein these are the scheduled charging, but they are going for additional unscheduled charging. Unscheduled charging, that means to say, to operate 180 kilometer, a bus has to make 3 charging in a day. That too in daytime, city operation. Daytime is most important. If you go to any of city operations, diesel buses most of the time maintained in the night. Operation is done in the daytime. Whereas here we are doing night charging in the depots and opportunity charging 2 times in outside. It kills around 1 to 2 hours. It is very crucial for our traffic operations. Uh, Here what I wants to say is, if you operate 200 kilometer, if you want to operate 200 kilometer per day with a bus, the battery capacity should be more than 300 kilowatt hours. If I get more than 300 kilowatt hour bus, definitely will get better efficiency, better regularity, and better operational efficiency. And the most important thing is the proper training of the drivers. See, most of the time, these are the OEMs, original equipment manufacturer. They employ a driver who is most probably they are the truck drivers, jeep drivers, auto drivers. They are not well versed with the public transport vehicle. For them, there is a need to give proper training to them, and also there should be a structured training for these electric buses. Everybody we knows that electric buses, they are all accelerated vehicles. They take the pickup so fast. Even experienced drivers of 10 to 15 years, they find it difficult to handle these vehicles. But these vehicles are given with most any inexperienced drivers. It results in more accident. And also in most of the time in Bangalore city, we are getting very bad name because of these bad driving habits of these electric drivers. And the strict implementation of Motor Transport Workers Act. See, nobody is above the law. Only thing is, we have to implement the law at the initial stage itself. While deploying, if a private operators, if a OEM, original equipment manufacturer, is ready with 20 buses, we should ensure that 46 drivers are ready with him. Then only we should deploy 20 buses. Then the things will go smoothly and the burden on the drivers is also calm down. And at the same time, the operational efficiency will improve. See, and at the same time, what I wanted to say is, in BMTC, the electric bus revenue per bus per day is 12,000 rupees, what we are earning today with all these difficulties, all these irregularities. When compared to diesel buses, we are getting 1,000 to 1,500 rupees more revenue per day per bus. This is the thing. And also in upcoming days, we are getting about 4,500 electric buses in PM e-drive scheme. In Karnataka RTCs, they are getting 750 buses through PM e-bus seva. And at the same time, Karnataka electric bus program, with the World Bank help, we are introducing about 2,000 electric buses across the state, covering intercity, that is connecting between the taluka to taluka and district to district. This is this is all I wanted to present. And also I will tell that Anyway, the electric buses are good with respect to many of the parameters. Even some of the batteries, so what LFP batteries, what we are getting today, they have got good battery capacities. Most, see, if you go to any of the cities in the country or any of the states in the country, most of the cities are going for GCC. Most probably another 1 year or 2 year time, we may go for outright procurement of electric buses. Okay, madam. Thank you.
So much. This is fascinating. You know, I mean, this is a new technology, evolving technology, facing glitches in the initial stages, but clearly it's a story where we are overcoming the glitches. But what makes such a powerful statement is the fact that despite the problems, that it still makes so much better economic and revenue sense compared to a diesel bus operation. But of course, the ecosystem preparedness will have to be further strengthened. So now, before we move on to our next speaker, I would also like to invite on stage Shri Ashok Bansal, HCSR Additional CEO. He's the Haryana City Bus Service. Mr. Bansal, you're in. Yes, please join us on the stage. So while Mr. Bansal is joining us, I would like to invite Mr. Srinivas, formerly with BST Mumbai, and please come and share best another leading bus agency in the country and a lot of innovation to share.
Okay, good afternoon. I know this session after lunch is very difficult for everyone. I can feel it. And when I was sitting there, I was not very much sure. But when I came on the dais, I got 100% confident it is really difficult. And I heard in the opening note by the two respectable Singh sir and Sarin sir, some architecture college students have come.
Yes.
Okay, great. But I can't see their faces. I think they have just slided down. So I want to see everybody's faces, please, students. My presentation would change as per the requirement, because I know I have got few respectable people on the dais, like Kanika ma'am is there, Jayant sir is there, Prabhakar Reddy sir is there, Anmita ma'am is there, and of course now Bansal sir has joined. So all respectable people here and there, and of course I think somebody told principal ma'am has come, right? Huh? Welcome, ma'am. Huh? It's an honor to have a principal. Why I would say, because my wife is also principal. Okay, anyways, jokes apart, so why I start the session in a different tone? I think already the session tone has been set by Center for Science and Environment in a nice way. So we have to just go ahead. So, like, yeah, what has been told, we are sitting at the right place, the urban planning place, we can say, yeah, the planning has to be done for electric vehicle buses in the right way. Not only the buses, the infrastructure, the charging infrastructure, the buses technical input, and the most important thing, the road geometry, which also comes under the planning part. The road geometry is also an important aspect which has to be taken care. So this all homework has to be done by all the think tanks who are present here, who are the future generation. We can say, I don't know whether you are from Gen Z, Gen X, or Gen Alpha, but whatever it is, I think you are the people who are going to take our country in the right direction. So without wasting any time, I would really go on, carry on with my presentation in the right way. But a small alert for the students, I might prop up some questions for you. So please be alert. Thank you very much for listening me so calmly. So now we'll get into actual the subject. Always I have been in awe of the Center for Science and Environment targets. environment, this Mother Earth, has always been a precious thing. It has to be conserved in the right way. We all are sitting in this hall in the right atmosphere, right temperature, clean environment. So why not give this clean environment to everyone, to all the citizens, whoever is required to move out of their comfort space of homes? So how, like Maharashtra or specifically Mumbai has done this leveraging in the right way, I would like to just share a few slides. I don't have much more slides, but I will try to explain in the right way. Okay, so before we really get into the thing, always remember every electric bus that rolls out is a step towards a city that breathes easier and moves smarter. Yes, that is the need of the hour. So, little let me. Now, best undertaking, as rightly said by Sayan, Brihan Mumbai Electric Supply and Transport Undertaking, Mumbai. So this has been the fleet evolution. As you can see, we have started way back in 1873 with the horse-driven trams. Then we got into electric trams from 1905 to 1964. And then now again from 2017, we are into the electric fraternity, the alternate fuel mode. So that is the right variant which has to be used. That is the right thing now that everybody is following. And again, as far as the public transport is concerned, we have started out in 1926 and now we are in 2026. So we have completed 100 years on this 7th of August. So it is a big journey that we have done. Then we have also went into CNG and again now electric buses. Right now our fleet population is around 2,800 buses, but already we have placed orders of more than 4,500 buses. We are having 27 depots, 55 bus stations, 107 chowkis. So at the right way, and we are carrying passengers. So ridership is about 25 lakh passengers. Earnings are 3.3 CR daily. Kilometers run are 7 lakh kilometers. Scheduled trips are 33,000. So the core lesson now we want to understand. What is the core lesson that is required for any EV? For any EV substance, we are in need of funds. So from where the funds will come? So we have learned a very, very important lesson, BST, that funding is always an enabler and it is not the strategy. Scale comes from combining multiple funding windows with clear contracts, depot power readiness, and measurable operating accountability. So there has to be a policy direction. There has to be some converged finance readily available, and of course, bankable contracting solutions. Then there should be the readiness, which should be available in the first place, and then the life cycle governance comes in place. So for Haryana, do not sequence bus procurement first and infrastructure operation later. Sanction the program as one integrated mobility package with readiness gates before induction. That would be the right way for not only Haryana, any state, any city which is looking forward for the EV operation. Now, how did best scale this journey? As I have been telling in all my presentations, of course, Anumita ma'am knows a lot about our journey. We started off in 2017. We started with a small fleet of 6 buses. So we were fortunate enough that our corporation has funded about 10 CR. Within the reach, we could buy 6 vehicles initially. So these vehicles were procured in the capex condition. So later on, what has happened, the cost of the electric vehicle, which ranges from 1.4 CR to 1.9 CR, was a very, very heavy expenditure, and this capex expenditure couldn't be done by any state transport undertaking. It was a heavy burden. So in 2019, we scaled up our procurement while going for FAME 1, then FAME 2, and of course, Later on in 2023, it was scaled up in the right way with National Clean Air Program and the 15th Finance Commission. Of course, Maharashtra EV policy also came into place in 2021. That was an added benefit. And now we intend to have a full electrification within the next 3 to 4 years. So it has been quite a journey for Mumbai Best. So how did the funding come to BST? In the FAME 1 program, we almost procured, like we received about 30 crores, within which we could procure about 40 vehicles. Then we received FAME 2, 167 crores. Within that, we could really procure 340 vehicles. Then the latest was the biggest jump. I think the 15th Finance Commission and the National Clean Air Program came up with a wonderful idea within which we almost 1,000 crores were sanctioned, and we have almost received 500 crores. So the unfortunate part was we had placed orders of almost 3,000 electric vehicles, but due to the disturbance in the demand and supply chain, we could only receive 1,300 vehicles, and the pending delivery is due, and I think maybe within a year we will receive the balance vehicles also. Along with this, also the Maharashtra EV policy 2021 was in place, with which we could fund extra additional subsidy to the operators in addition to the National Clean Air Program funds. So as you can see, 10 crore has been received by BMC, which has been bolded in red color. And Maharashtra EV policy also 437 crores are in place, but this 437 crores is available throughout the Maharashtra state. So maybe how much BST will receive, only time will tell. So how this system will work exactly? Early adoption, yes, you got to get grant support at the earliest. Then you have to scale up the procurement. Then you have to do the long-term service. This is the way that we can move ahead, and we could plan for the EV procurement. What public funding must buy is not only just buses. Yes, this funding has been given specifically for not capex but for opex. So here the fleet and the vehicles are slated to really do the route daily cycle, duty cycle, that has to be taken care. Depot and the power, that is the upstream electrical capacity, that has to be taken care within this. Then the charging flight, right chargers, right charging infrastructure has to be done. Operations has to be taken care. Digital systems has to be in place. As everybody is aware that automotive industry specification, that is the AIS 140, is in place, which provides a mandatory requirement of intelligent transport monitoring system that is the need of the hour in every particular vehicle whichever is incorporated. Then of course safety and capability has to taken care of. The state transport authority has to really go for the sanction. Will the proposed expenditure produce reliable clean kilometers and measurable public value? Yes and no. Because unless and until you are going for the renewable type of charging, this will remain an incomplete exercise. I would like to explain in the later on slides. The GCC model, yes. Now presently all the I think the government schemes which are available, the PM E-Bus Seva, the PM E-Drive are available. These all the schemes are available in OPEX model, that is the GCC gross cost contract, where of course you have to allocate risk to the party best placed to manage it. What is the public authority responsibility and what is the operator responsibility? As you can see on the left side, upstream power infrastructure has to be given by the public authority, that is the state transport authority. Then operation ready depots, yes. Then service planning, route planning has to be done. We have to pay per kilometer payment to it has to be paid for the delivered services. Then fare collection will be done by the State Transport Authority, and revenue rights and the advertisement rights will remain with the State Transport Authority. Bus specification and contract specification, the key parameter indicators will be planned and would be devised by the State Transport Authority. What will be the responsibilities of the operator? Yes, the operator has to procure the electric buses. They have to provide the train drivers. Yes, as Mr. Prabhakar Reddy has rightly said, of course, it's a very difficult win-win situation to provide the train drivers. Of course, a lot of work has to be done on this. Buses will come, but train drivers are still in a long way ahead. Charging in equipments, infrastructure has to be provided by the operator. Electricity, operating energy cost will be borne by the operator. And of course, OEM compliant maintenance has to be taken care by the operator. Fleet availability and deployment is the key parameter included, and compliance with the safety and service key parameter indicators. No bus without readiness. These are the 6 gates. Route should be available, depot should be available, the power should be available, charging infrastructure should be available, and yes, the staff, the driver, maintenance staff, and last but not the least, the digital and the contract system should always be in place. Operational governance turns capex into clean kilometers. Yes, operational governance is OPEX will turn capex into clean kilometers, because availability has to be given the highest rate, highest input. Reliability will come. Safety is always in place. It has been marked in red color. Punctuality has to be maintained. Efficiency will be taken care when all these things are taken care. The daily control loop, there has to be a command control room which will really monitor the movements of every buses. Clean electricity control closed loop. Now, this is what I was trying to tell everyone. Unless and until the fleet electrification delivers the strongest clean air and carbon benefits, when charging is done, is planned as an energy program, this our clean environment program would always remain incomplete, because we have to go for renewable energy in charging infrastructure. Solar panels have to be deployed, and similar exercise has been done in BEST. So what BST has done, like initially the 3 months 100-day cycle has been observed. We have to move from procurement program to mobility mission. Then two, I think as far as BST is concerned, we have almost covered more than 4 years in this EV thing. So after that, the system transformation would start, and we can find the results. Last but not the least, great cities aren't built by chance. They are built by those who dare to plan, charge, and lead the change. So, what is the takeaway from here? Fund the system, contract the outcome, and last but not the least, govern the life cycle. Thank you very much. Thank you for patiently listening to me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas. And I really liked your last two lines, that the life cycle approach to the outcome delivery.
Yeah.
That it's going to decide the fate and the service level of the bus system. So as we are running late, so we'll quickly move to our next speaker, Mr. Jayan Deshmukh, and a very respected veteran bus expert in the country. And we are really looking forward to have your insight into how what to learn from the bus programs.
So good afternoon, everybody. A lot of speakers have talked about the electrification. Now I'll talk about the practical aspects. So since I'm working on the ground for multiple cities, so what are the practical aspects the cities are facing and how they have overcome the challenges? So this is very, very important. Now I'll be briefing only three or four challenges, because this is a very small session. Generally we conduct electric bus training for 2 or 3 days. So this is 10-15 days, 15 minutes. I will just few of the challenges we face. Now first, one of the important challenges is the infrastructure. When you talk about the infrastructure, the depots, when it comes to depots. So depots, how we are going to design the depots for electric bus depots. So generally people feel that the depot for electric bus or IC engine bus is the same. The challenge is completely different, because if you typically see electric bus depot, IC engine bus depot or a diesel bus depot, we have only one fueling shed. But suddenly when it comes to electric buses, there are a number of fueling sheds are there. That means charging stations, 20, 25 charging stations are there. So whole circulation changes. These are noiseless buses. So since maintenance happens in the night shift, we have already seen number of accidents in the depot. People have been killed because of wrong type of design. So I have done around 10 to 12 depot designs at various cities, right from Shillong to Kerala also. So there we have seen, because of improper understanding, because depot design is not in civil engineering or architectural part. Lot of operational challenges or operational engineering goes into that. How the bus circulation has to happen, where the maintenance pits have to be posted, where the charging station has to be there. All the things have to be thought on the operational point of view, not on the architectural or civil engineering point of view. So this is what the ideal depot design we generally say, and this is type of design we have designed. We have done it in few number of cities. So depot design plays a very important role when it comes to e-bus implementation. Now next comes the charger layouts. So generally it is not the charger has to be posted anywhere. It is not like that. There are three types of layouts generally we say. This is the layout. If you see, this is butterfly layout. Butterfly layout. In this layout, we can charge the buses on both sides of the charger. This is the inline layout where we can charge the buses on only one side, and this is the overhead charger layout where the chargers are positioned at the top of the bus. Now these type of layouts, where it has to be used, if you have ample space, we can go for butterfly layout. So if you have space constraint, then you have to go for inline layout. In the metro cities, if you see, the space constraint is very huge in metro cities. Then we have to go for overhead the charger, where the chargers are placed at the top, not at the side. Then important thing what KSRTC people had also discussed is the challenges in e-bus scheduling. So it is not like that IC engine buses where once the buses goes out of the depot, it will come back in the night without any issues. But here, since we have range constraint, first is the range constraint. We have less flexibility because of range constraint. We have only 150, 160, 178 kilowatt usable power for midi buses, or 200 for usable power for 12-meter buses. So range flexibility is one of the important aspect when it comes to electric bus. Then topography of each route has the impact on the running of the buses. Typically, if you see IC engine bus, I can outside in the morning and we will come back. We don't have any issue with the topography of the route because we have ample power available with us. But in electric buses, since we have very less power, the topography has a huge impact on that. The high dead kilometers, because we need to charge the buses, because fueling takes only 2 or 3 minutes for IC engine bus, but for electric bus it takes around 40, 45, 50 minutes. So charging also takes a lot of time, and because of that there is a high dead kilometers and degradation of batteries also. When you talk typically of electric bus, in the summer season, in the summer season, it's a seasonal variation is there, because when your battery is new, so battery is new, when you are designing the schedules, when the battery is new, we may design it in a different way, because after 2 or 3 years the battery starts degrading it, and the same schedules if you are going to follow, all the headways will get impacted. So your schedule should go on changing. It's a completely dynamic part because of that. And seasonal variations also, particularly if you have electric AC vehicles, then seasonal variation has a lot of impact, because AC vehicles at least consume 15 to 20% more energy. So in the summer season we need to have different schedules, in the winter season we need to have different schedules. And again, one thing you need to understand, that energy consumption is impacted by various parameters such as driving habits, then the ambient temperature, payload, average speed. So when you talk about the driving habit, one of the important aspect, I think how many people are know it, one important aspect, what the advantages of electric bus is brake regeneration. So brake regeneration is one important aspect, where we generally say that there is a charger fitted in every bus. So brake regeneration means if the driver is able to drive the bus in efficient way, he can improve the range by at least 20 to 25%. So if you are operating 100 kilometers with the brake regeneration advantage, he can operate 120 kilometers also. We have already seen that. We have trained the drivers and we have already seen that we are giving the incentives also to driver in that way. But that needs a meticulous training to the drivers. How we are going to improve the regeneration. Then ambient temperature. Because of that, all these factors, we generally say that bus to schedule ratio. Because if you have a 100 buses diesel bus fleet, if you want to convert that fleet into electric bus, 100 buses will not be sufficient. You need to have 120 buses because of all these constraints. So 100 bus schedule for IC engine bus, if you need to convert it, we need to require 120 buses. So that's why bus to schedule ratio also increases. For all these things, what we have done in few cities, we have done a charging strategy. So charging strategy plays a very, very important role. What is happening today, if you see, all the chargers are located within the depot itself. So within the depot itself means all the buses have to be brought back to the depot for opportunity charging in the afternoon hours. So we need to have a charging strategy. We have done a study at the Shenzhen city. So they were able to electrify the Shenzhen city only because they spread the charger network in such a way that everywhere chargers are available. So this charging strategy, if your depot is located at the center of the depot, then you need to have chargers at the fast chargers at terminal points, various terminal points. If the depot is located at the periphery, generally this happens because cities don't have that place. So if the depot is located at the periphery, the chargers has to be central. And again, the charging strategy also has to be different. Now overnight charging, we can go for 100% charging for overnight, and for terminal charging you can go for fast charging. So 100% charging has to be done. So generally what we see even on some mobile also, 100% charging once in 2 days or once in a day has to be done to for battery balancing. So we have ample time in the night, so we can go for overnight charging in the night, and in the opportunity charging can be done, top up charging can be done during the daytime. And one of the important aspects what was discussing is all the buses which are being operated presently are with the GCC model. In the GCC model, monitoring plays a very, very important role when it comes to the authority point of view. Now, everybody knows that bus is a 24 by 7, 365 days. It is not that 9 to 5 operation. So, all the 24 by 7 or 365 days buses have to be operated. Large number of manpower. If we generally say bus staff ratio is around 1.6, 6, one bus requires 6 people. If you have a fleet of 100 buses, 600 people will be required. So huge manpower is required. Now all these activities of all this manpower has to be monitored. Now generally what we say is, if you see the entire bus operation, we divide it into two parts. One is from outsheding, where the bus outsheds from the depot, and for whole operation it does on the route and it comes back to the depot. From insheding to outsheding, in the night all the maintenance activities carried out. So out from en route, what are activities carried out, and at the depot, what are the activities are carried out. All these are mapped into, and we are preparing a report based on that. All these KPIs. So extensive use of ITS. ITS plays a very, very important role when it comes to monitoring of electric buses. Somehow we are not able to utilize that ITS to that extent, but ITS is a very, very important to monitor these activities. And lastly, accidents. That is what one of our panelists was discussing. E-bus, lot of accidents we have recently seen on the e-bus part. I will just show one or two videos how the accidents have happened. The city is not important over here. Just see how the accidents happen. So what would be your first reaction on this? When you see this accident, what would be your first reaction? Yeah? Generally people say that it might be because of brake failure. Huh? Driver mistake. But nothing is like that. It is not that brake failure. One aspect was told was trained drivers. So IC engine bus driver, see the same training. If driver, if you are is operating IC engine bus, he has undergone the same training. If you are asking him to drive the electric bus, his issue will be different. Chances are accidents are more when you're driving the electric bus, because electric bus, the design of electric itself is such a way we are not still used to train the drivers to drive the electric buses. So it is not initially it was told that give a training of 1 month, 15 days. They typically STUs give the training for 2 months. Even spite of giving the training for drivers for 2 months, still a lot of more accidents are happening. So you cannot focus on driver error minimizing it. So what accident training gives it? You are minimizing the error of driver. But when you see a road space, it is not that only driver is using that road space. Lot of vehicles are using that road space. Pedestrian is there, two-wheeler person is there, four-wheeler person is there. Lot of people are using that road space. So our focus is more on minimizing the error of the drivers. Training means minimizing the error of drivers. So again, the technology also plays a very, very important role because I am involved in the training of drivers. Tomorrow also I have a good training session for the drivers also, women drivers also and men drivers also. So I got the reaction from the drivers when you are talking about electric bus. These are the two videos I have shown. I have a number of cases where we are able to find out what are the reasons for that. If you see electric bus, what are the challenges? First is the automatic transmission. It doesn't have any clutch and gear. It is a completely automatic transmission. Second is torque. Torque is very high at the initial stage itself. For an IC engine bus, if you see, to get the torque, he has to apply the clutch, he has to go to the first gear, then he will get the torque, high torque, for initially moving the buses. For electric bus, the torque, if you see the torque speed curve for electric bus, the torque starts from here and the torque starts for IC engine here. So moment he is going to accelerate, the torque will be here. So huge torque is available. So that sort of training drivers need to understand. Then stopping distance. If you see electric bus and IC engine bus, it's 2 ton more. So if typically IC engine bus to 12-meter bus, it is 16 ton. For 12-meter bus, it is 18 ton electric bus. So 2 ton more, the stopping distance will automatically improve. So we have seen accidents where the driver has seen that object, he has applied the brake, but still the person came below the bus and got killed. So stopping distance is more. Single leg driving, this is very, very important. Left side, you are not using that left side leg. It's only single leg driving. So accelerator and brake are only on one side. So this is also caused some issues with the number of drivers. Smooth acceleration is very, very smooth here. There are no linkages, nothing. It's all sensor based. So generally what we say, electric bus is a computer on the wheels. It's just a computer. It is not that IC engine bus. So in many cases, when the breakdown happens, what we say to the what the mechanic says to the driver, you just switch off the bus, wait for 2 minutes, switch on, all the errors will go. Just like what we do on the laptop and this thing. So same happens on the bus. So all the errors will go and the bus is running smoothly. So this is a computer on wheels. So the training has to be in a completely different way. So it is not that mechanical, electronics we generally say about. So low noise is one of the important aspects which is killing a lot of people now because people don't know whether the bus is approaching behind or not. So in many cases we have seen, 70% to 80% cases of electric bus, the fatalities are either pedestrians or two-wheelers people. So because of that low noise, lot of accidents are happening. And ancillary subsystems are all because they are not dependent on that. So in all this case, this simulator training plays a very, very important role. Now recently what we have done is in one or two cities, we are developing a simulator which has all the scenarios typically of city bus service. Now the simulators which are presently available, they are just like toys. So that simulator will not work. So we need to have simulator which has accommodated all the scenarios in that. So that type of simulator we are preparing which has 16 to 17 scenarios. So then not 16, so 20 to 25 scenarios are there, which includes everything. So these all things are very, very important. And the CAN data, how many people don't know? I think CAN data is very, very powerful data which extract everything. Harsh braking, harsh acceleration, everything we get extracted from the CAN of the bus. So this data has to be utilized and it has to be analyzed thoroughly. Then only we are able to reduce all these accidents. So thank you very much.
So much. Not on time. It's always so enriching to listen to you, Jayant, because you really bring out the granular insight from the actual operations and what is really an amazing learning curve
This is my
for
day-to-day activity.
everyone. Thank you so much. So now, before we move on to the urban freight, I would like to invite Mr. Bansal, because you have now heard everyone from other states of India. So it would be wonderful to know from you that what has been your experience in starting the electric bus program in Haryana.
नमस्कार। मेरे से पहले जो कर्नाटक और बम्बे का जो उन्होंने मॉडल बताया है कि मैं ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगा, पहले ऑलरेडी लेट हैं आप। हरियाणा में सेम मॉडल की हमारी बसें चल रही हैं। हरियाणा में हमारी 575 का हमने वर्क ऑर्डर दिया हुआ है। 375 का हरियाणा में, 100 बसों का गुड़गांव में, 100 बसों का फरीदाबाद में, इलेक्ट्रिक बसों की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं। और 375 के अगेंस्ट हमारी 155 बसें हरियाणा में 10 सीरीज में चल रही हैं। पंचकुला में भी 10 बसें चल रही हैं। जैसे जीसीसी मॉडल का बताया, जैसे ग्रोस कोर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, इसके अंदर सारी की सारी ड्यूटी ऑलमोस्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर उसकी जो बस सप्लायर है उसकी रहती है। जैसे जेबीएम बताया, हरियाणा में भी जेबीएम सप्लायर है। जो ड्राइवरों की दिक्कत मैं ज़्यादा सामने लूँगा, जो ड्राइवरों की दिक्कत बताई है, क्योंकि ड्राइवरों की हमारी लाइबिलिटी नहीं है। जिसकी बस है, क्योंकि हमने उसको बस वाले को पर किलोमीटर के हिसाब से पेमेंट करनी है। 60 रुपीज़, जैसे हरियाणा की अगर मैं बात करूँ, 62 रुपीज़ 81 पैसा पर किलोमीटर हिसाब से पे करते हैं। ड्राइवर भी उनका होगा, ड्राइवर की पे भी वो देंगे, ड्राइवर रेंज भी वो करेंगे। और जैसे कहा भी लेट होती हैं बसें, नहीं निकलती, ड्राइवर ट्रेंड है, क्योंकि उनकी लाइबिलिटी सारी, क्योंकि उनकी अपनी बसें हैं और 1.5 करोड़ की बस है, एक 1.25 करोड़ की बस है, तो वो ड्राइवर अपने हिसाब से ट्रेनिंग देने के बाद ही लगाते हैं। क्योंकि अगर कोई नुकसान होता है तो स्टेट को कोई नुकसान नहीं होता, बस ओनर का ही नुकसान है वो। और उसके बाद क्या है, जैसे इन शेडिंग आउट शेडिंग, हमारा जीसीसी मॉडल पे हर चीज़ का कॉन्टैक्ट है। अगर बस 6:40 पे डिपो पे निकलनी है और वो 6:45 पे निकलती है तो उसकी भी पेनल्टी है। अगर बस में सुबह सफाई नहीं की, सीटें गंदी हैं, उसकी भी पेनल्टी है। अगर उनका आईटीए में सिस्टम बस में जैसे लिखा होता है भी ये बस पंचकुला से कालका जाएगी, अम्बाला जाएगी, अगर वो डिस्प्ले नहीं चल रहा है, उसकी भी पेनल्टी है। इसलिए हमारी जो पेनल्टीज़ हैं, वो इतनी ज़्यादा पेनल्टीज़ हो जाती हैं, जब 1 या 2 महीने उनको इम्पोज़ हो जाती है, तो जो बस कंसेशनर है, अगले महीने से वो अपना आप ही अपनी टीम को एक्टिव करके लगा देता है। और जीसीसी मॉडल में जैसे इलेक्ट्रिक का बिल है, इलेक्ट्रिक का बिल भी वो पे करते हैं। जो आज का रेट पे करेंगे, अगर इन फ्यूचर अगर रेट बढ़ता है तो वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट पे करती है। तो सबसे इसके अंदर सबसे बड़ी जैसे सरकार की स्कीमें बताई, फेम 1 फेम 2, अब पीएमई बस सेवा चल रही है। हमें पीएमई बस सेवा में 450 450 बसें मिली हैं। 100 गुड़गांव के लिए, 100 फरीदाबाद के लिए, 250 बसें स्टेट रेस्ट ऑफ हरियाणा के लिए। उसके अंदर सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है, जैसे उन्होंने बताया भी हमारा, क्योंकि कोई भी ट्रांसपोर्ट है वर्ल्ड में, ट्रांसपोर्ट है वो लॉस में चलती है, कोई बस प्रॉफिट में नहीं चलती ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड में। तो हमारा, जैसे मैं अगर हरियाणा की बात करूं, मेरा जो 50 रुपए के करीब 45 से 50 रुपए पर किलोमीटर इनकम मेरे को होती है। और जो पीएमई अभी तो जो 375 का ऑर्डर प्लेस किया है, वो हरियाणा सरकार ने ऑर्डर प्लेस किया है। जो 450 बसें आएंगी, उसके अंदर 22 रुपए 1 किलोमीटर की सब्सिडी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट देगी। मतलब 50 रुपए की मेरी इनकम है, 22 रुपए मुझे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट दे रही है, और उसके बाद 62 रुपीज़ मैंने उसको पे करना है। तो एट पार, मतलब इसमें रहने की हमें उम्मीद है, रह जाएंगे। उसके बाद इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पैसा देती है। जैसे इलेक्ट्रिक डिपो दिखाया इन्होंने, अभी आपने देखा स्टेज में, इलेक्ट्रिक डिपो चार्जिंग स्टेशन हमारा पंचकुला और यमुनानगर में, पानीपत और यमुनानगर में बिल्कुल कंप्लीट डिपो जो इन्होंने दिखाया है, एज पर ड्राइंग और एज पर स्टैंडर्ड ड्राइंग हमारे दोनों डिपो तैयार है, ऑपरेटिंग है। पानीपत में मेरी 45 बसें चल रही हैं, यमुनानगर मेरी 20 बसें चल रही हैं। बिल्कुल डिपो कंप्लीट इन ऑल रिस्पेक्ट हैं, और एज मतलब वर्ल्ड के हिसाब से मॉडल बनाए गए हैं, उसके हिसाब से बसें चलती हैं हमारी। उसके बाद जो सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत क्या है, जैसे बताया, उसके डिपो के लिए भी 10 करोड़ रुपए, 60% या मैक्सिमम 10 करोड़ रुपए, वो भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हमें देती है डिपो बनाने के लिए। और पावर कनेक्शन के लिए पीएमई बस सेवा में, जो पीएमई बसें आएंगी, उसके लिए बिजली का जो कनेक्शन है वो, क्योंकि वो पावर हाउस से डायरेक्ट आता है, किसी पे 1 करोड़ कॉस्ट करता है, किसी पे 1.5 करोड़ कॉस्ट करता है। जहाँ जहाँ हमारे बस स्टैंड बने हुए हैं और जहाँ जहाँ पावर स्टेशन बने हुए हैं, वहाँ से लाइन पे आना, लाइन पे डिपेंड है कितनी लंबी लाइन है। एक एक 1.5 करोड़ का एस्टिमेट बनता है, वो 100% सेंटर पैसा देते हैं हमें, उसका भी हमारा कोई पैसा नहीं लगता। बहुत अच्छा मॉडल है, और सरकार के लिए बहुत फ़ायदेमंद मॉडल है, और लोगों को काफ़ी इसमें एसी, हमारी हरियाणा में जो बसें हैं वो सब इलेक्ट्रिक एसी बसें हैं, नॉन एसी बस नहीं है कोई भी। जो सबसे बड़ी बात मैं कहने के लिए बैठा हूँ, इसलिए हूँ, अब हम पीएमई बस सेवा में डिपो के लिए पैसा दे दिया, बिजली के लिए पैसा दे दिया, बसों के लिए पैसा दे दिया, किलोमीटर साहब, लेकिन जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, जो रोड कंडीशनिंग है, जैसे मैं म्यूनसिपलिटी की बात करूं, हर शहर में, हर गुड़गांव है, फरीदाबाद नहीं है, कई शहरों में जैसे छोटे शहर हैं, वहाँ पे म्यूनसिपलिटी भी इतना फंड नहीं होता वो सड़कें की मेंटेनेंस कर सकें। अब हमारी सड़कें सेम हैं, इलेक्ट्रिक बसें हैं, लो फ्लोर बसें हैं, चल नहीं पाती बसें उसमें। उनके अंदर उनको कुछ प्रोविज़न ऐसा रखना चाहिए, भाई जो जिस रूट पे जो बहुत रूट फाइनल हुए हैं उन रूटों की मेंटेनेंस के लिए भी कोई ना कोई पैसा सरकार कुछ ना कुछ फंड दे। दूसरा बस क्यू शेल्टर, जब हम रोड डिजाइन करते हैं, अभी हमें पता है रोड बन गया है, रोड बन गया तो कार भी चलेंगी, बस भी चलेंगी, ट्रक भी चलेंगे, जैसा भी रोड है, छोटा है बड़ा है, 8 मीटर का है, 10 मीटर 12 मीटर का है, बे हम बस की बे जरूर का उसका प्रोविजन रखें। अगर बस क्यू शेल्टर के लिए लगता है अभी सड़क की विड्थ इतनी नहीं है, अभी हम बे बनाएं, कम से कम स्टैंड बाई होने के लिए, लोगों खड़े होने के लिए थोड़ा सा बस, ताकि बस निकले, पीछे ट्रैफिक ना रुके, इतना साइड में हो जाए, तो उसका कोई डिजाइन नहीं बनाते। अब हमारे को गुड़गांव में जब गुड़गांव बसें चली, गुड़गांव मेट्रो सिटी की, मैं इस टाइम एडिशनल सीओ गुड़गांव में था, तो इतनी हमें जो ओल्ड गुड़गांव है इतनी प्रॉब्लम आती है, बसों की 10 सवारी चढ़ेंगी 10 उतरेंगी, इतनी देर में पीछे जाम लग जाता है, लोगों से झगड़े होते हैं। तो जो हमारे अर्बन प्लानर हैं वो जब रोड बनाएं, कम से कम जहाँ भी सरकार की जगह अवेलेबल है, कोई पार्क की है, किसी के साथ सरकारी स्कूल लगता है, कहीं पार्क आता है, कहीं ग्रीन बेल्ट आती है, कम से कम जहाँ लोगों का आने का, इकट्ठा होने का, कलेक्ट, जैसे हम जहाँ हमारा एक फोकस रहता है भी, जहाँ ऑटो रुकते हैं ना वो स्टॉप है, हम कागजों में स्टॉप बना देते हैं बस का, मैंने वहाँ बस का स्टॉप दे दिया, ऑटो यहाँ रुकते हैं, लोग वहाँ तक जाते ही नहीं है, क्यों, बस तो टाइम पे आएगी, ऑटो ने आया ब्रेक मारा सवारी बिठाई चली जाती है। हमें इतना नुकसान होता है, कई बार हम बस क्यू शेल्टर वहां बना देते हैं, क्योंकि बस क्यू शेल्टर के जैसे रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट की बात है, हर चीज के सिस्टम है, हर चीज का एक तरीका दिया हुआ है, चौक से इतनी दूर बनाओगे, उससे इतना करो, लेकिन कई चीजें ऐसी हैं भी इग्नोर करके, थोड़ा सा उसको एडजस्ट करके, कंप्रोमाइज करके चलना पड़ता है। हमने फिर वहां पे, अब अगर आप गुड़गांव जाओ तो राजीव चौक पे उतरो, तो राजीव चौक से मैदान की तरफ जाओगे तो बस क्यू शेल्टर इतनी दूर है, वहां आदमी तो क्या, कोई कुछ भी खड़ा नहीं हो सकता, वहां पे एक भी चीज नहीं मिलेगी आपको। तो कई चीज़ें ऐसा है जो हमारे बस के सिलेंडर बिल्कुल खाली होते हैं, क्योंकि लोग ऑटो ऑटो का दिक्कत क्या है, ऑटो में लोग वेट नहीं कर सकते। अब जैसे हम कहते हैं एक्सीडेंट होते हैं, ऑटो के अंदर कोई ऑटो वाला ये किसी सवारी को पकड़ के ऑटो में नहीं बैठाता। आप देखोगे एक ऑटो में 10 सवारी, 12 सवारी, 15 सवारी जितनी मिलती हैं चल जाती हैं। ऑटो वाला कहता है जी मैंने जबरदस्ती थोड़ी बैठाई है, क्योंकि सवारी वेट नहीं करना चाहती। सवारी को अपने घर जाने की इतनी जल्दी होती है, मैंने खुद प्रैक्टिकली देखा है, मतलब बस की 1 सेकंड का है ना, पीछे बस आ रही है, वो भी वेट नहीं करते। तो उसके अंदर जो अर्बन प्लानर हैं तो थोड़ा सा बस बेज का और बस क्यू शेल्टर का थोड़ा ध्यान रखें, और जो स्कीम में हम बनाते हैं, जैसे मेरे को 500 बसें, जैसे हमने बताया 375 हरियाणा में ऑलरेडी ऑर्डर प्लेस किया हुआ है, उसके अगेंस्ट 155 आ गई हैं। 200 बसों का हमने पीएमई बस सेवा में ऑर्डर प्लेस कर दिया है, 100 गुड़गांव की हैं, 100 फरीदाबाद की हैं। फरीदाबाद में इलेक्ट्रिक डिपो तैयार हो गया, गुड़गांव में तैयार हो गया, फरीदाबाद में अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन है। इसके बाद 450 बसें हमारी, और अभी जो महुआ का जो थर्ड टेंडर लगेगा 450 बसें हमारी और हैं। इसके अलावा इलेक्ट्रिक बसें 500 बसें एसपी वर्जन से हमें और मिल रही हैं, 200 गुड़गांव के लिए, 200 फरीदाबाद के लिए, 100 झज्जर या एनसीआर में, झज्जर या सोनीपत जहाँ भी हम चलाना चाहेंगे 100 बसें चलाएंगे, लेकिन उसके अंदर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का पैसा नहीं देते। अब बसें आ जाएंगी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं होगा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होगा तो आगे रोड्स नहीं होंगे। अब एनसीआर में तो 12-14 डिस्ट्रिक्ट आ गए हैं, तो सारे गुड़गांव फरीदाबाद की तरह नहीं है ना पैसे वाले, तो कई म्यूनसिपलिटी में दिक्कत रहती है। तो मेरा ये अनुरोध है जो इन डिपार्टमेंटों से है उसके अंदर कम से कम वहाँ की रोड कंडीशन के लिए भी कुछ ना कुछ पैसा डालें, ताकि बसें स्मूथली चल सकें। ठीक है, बस ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगा, थैंक यू जी, धन्यवाद।
ये आपने इतना अच्छा कहा कि बसें आ गई हैं, पर बस चलाने के लिए जो सड़कें और जो रोड डिज़ाइन की तरफ जो आपने ध्यान दिया है, इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट, क्योंकि दिस इज़ व्हाट वी कीप लुकिंग ऑल द टाइम, दैट द buses arrive, but जो
500 बसें एसपीवी से पैसा आ जाएगा मेरे, 500 बसें अब तो दिसंबर तक लेनी है मैंने,
हाँ जी,
और बसों के लिए फंड्स आ जाएंगे, बीम में सेवा डिपो लिए पैसा नहीं, लेकिन क्या है अब म्यूनसिपलिटी, जैसे हिसार की बात करता हूँ मैं, गंगवा रोड बिल्कुल उखड़ा हुआ है, वहाँ पे रोड्स नहीं बन रहे। अब गंगवा तक बस नहीं जा सकती, लो फ्लोर बसें जा ही नहीं सकती, वहाँ रोज लोगों की कंप्लेंट आती है, बस नहीं जाती। बस हमने, क्योंकि मंत्री जी हैं गंगवा साहब, वो हमने बसें चलाई, लेकिन बस खराब हो खड़ी हो जाती है, उसका बस का बिल्कुल खत्म हो जाती है।
बिल्कुल, एब्सोल्युटली। तो ये जो दिस कनेक्शन जो आपने बताया, दैट buses, depot, and the road ecosystem, all of these will have to come together. There's really a role of urban planning here, that how that needs to combine with the technology and the requirement of the technology, because more important, जैसे आपने कहा कि लोग बसों के लिए रुकना नहीं चाहते, but they will if you have that infrastructure designed in such a way
हाँ, यस यस,
कि एकदम सर्विस लेवल को ही हम इतना
हाँ
बढ़ा दें
बस
कि लोग वो
ये गुड़गांव
वेट
में कर रहे हैं,
करेंगे।
गुड़गांव में कर रहे हैं, लास्ट में इतनी एक्टिविटी करने लगे हुए हैं, अब क्योंकि बसें अब जाएंगी,
जी,
तो बहुत, जैसे हमारे कई रूट्स हैं, गुड़गांव इफ आपके चौक से मानेसर है,
हाँ
हमारी बस, मैं 2020 की बताता हूँ, जब हमारी बस आगे खड़ी होती थी, क्योंकि ऑटो वाले लेते थे, ऑटो वाले तारते थे मानेसर मेन रोड पे, हमारी मानेसर जाती थी इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया में, तो जितनी लेबर आती तो इंडस्ट्रियल जाती थी, हमारा 30 रुपए किराया था, उसको लोगों को पड़ते थे 100 रुपए, पहले तो वहाँ मानेसर तक जाते थे,
हाँ
मानेसर से उतर के फिर अंदर इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया में जाते थे, तो अंदर इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया में सवारी मिलती थी तो 50 रुपए 100 रुपए लेते थे, तो
एग्जैक्टली
हमारा रीजनल किराया 10 रुपए 20 रुपए 50 रुपए किराया सिर्फ,
हाँ
तो इसका बड़ा फर्क है, कई
एब्सोल्युटली।
रूट्स हमारे अच्छे हैं जो चलते हैं।
पर ये भी बहुत अच्छी बात है कि जो आपका जो पूरा नया बस सर्विस जो भी बन रहा है वो इलेक्ट्रिक बस के आधार पर ही बन
ये
रहा
बन
है।
गया मैम,
सो दैट्स अ ग्रेट।
हेलो, बनेगा नहीं, बन गया हमारा,
हाँ
हमारा बताया ना आपको, पान जैसे इन्होंने डिपो में
बिल्कुल,
दिखाया था
आपने
पहले,
कहा कि 5
जो डिपो था से सेम
बिल्कुल
डिपो हमारा पानीपत में बिल्कुल वर्किंग कंडीशन में है, यमुनानगर में वर्किंग कंडीशन में है हमारा,
फैंटास्टिक।
तो बन गया, और 10 डिपो में
हाँ
काम चला हुआ है, और अब टू दिसंबर हरियाणा के 10 सिटी 11 मान लो विद गुड़गांव फरीदाबाद में टाइम लगेगा, 10 सिटीज में तो हमारा ऑलरेडी कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम चला हुआ है, मोर देन 60% कंप्लीट हो गया, पूरे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, पूरा चार्जिंग स्टेशन जैसे आपने दिखाया इन्होंने
या
दिखाया,
एब्सोल्युटली
हाँ स्लाइड्स में दिखाया, ऐसा ही हमारे पूरा अपना
वैसा ही बना हुआ है।
बिल्कुल चार्जर, बस की शेल्टर, स्टाफ के लिए रुकने का ट्रम, उनका लेडीज कंडक्टर का रूम, बच्चों का फीडिंग का, मतलब कंप्लीट हमने मतलब उस किताब के हिसाब से बनाया सारा।
ओह
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हरियाणा में बन गया है, 10
हाँ
शहरों में, मतलब है ना आपको, 2
हाँ
तैयार
जी
हैं
हाँ।
और 3 तैयार हैं हमारे, और 8 अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन है, और दिसंबर तक कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे सारे।
This is great.
हरियाणा में।
This is really, I mean, Haryana actually started late, but now they are really
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
moving very fast on this. And I think this is a great combination where you have the zero commuting is mass zero emission commuting. So with that, thanks a lot, Mr. Bansal. Now we move on to the last piece of the conversation. And here we are moving from buses to urban freight. In our cities today, because of the urban freight, the commerce, the requirement of the commerce, that's really increasing the demand for freight, and that is also highly polluting, and that locks in enormous pollution. So, Kanika, I would like to invite you because you very recently conducted a study with us on Jaipur, right? So, with that specific case study, we would like to have your insight.
मैं इसलिए बताया ना, हरियाणा का ऑलरेडी ऑलरेडी हमारे पास है, ऑलरेडी है। हाँ, देखो आपको कोई
Thank you. We have heard some useful lessons from the buses, electric bus deployment, their operations, maintenance. Now, I would like to take you to a beyond public transportation and look for the another major contributor, which is urban mobility and the emissions from the urban freight. So why freight is different? Because freight don't run on a single route. It is not, the vehicles are not procured by one single mechanism. No single depot is there, and no single operator owns these freight vehicles. So that's why freight works in a very different way than how the buses moves within the city. So we are taking the case of Jaipur. We will learn from these lessons and how we can implement or take some insights from these Jaipur city to our Haryana city and states as well. So the approach for this study we have taken is five stage methodology. So first of all, we look for the freight landscape assessment. Afterwards, we look for the emissions generating as per the baseline and the vehicles. Afterwards, we check the TCO, total techno commercial feasibility of these different segments, ecosystem readiness, and at the end, to after looking all the gaps and insights from this the assessment, we have framed the phase-wise acceleration strategy. So for this, we have the segmentation have been divided into four segments: two-wheeler, three-wheeler, LGVs, MGVs, And the use cases we have taken as e-commerce, food commerce, quick commerce, courier, and local business. So why we have limited it I will detail it out afterwards. So why Jaipur? Because Jaipur is a tier 2 city with a population of 4.6 million and vehicular population of approximate 4 million. If we see in Jaipur, the three wheelers are currently the vehicular share is quite high as comparative to other modes. And another reason was urban freight, because urban freight moves within the city. And when we see the city, the heavy goods vehicle generally runs outside the city. They run 300 plus kilometers, and hence the vehicular segments considered here are two wheeler, three wheeler, LGVs, MGVs. So the tonnage till 18.5 tonnage for MGVs we have considered for this study. So if we see the like how the vehicles have grown in Jaipur, so in 2020 around the COVID, the vehicles registration was less. If we see apart from that, the vehicles have been rising to a numerous high number, and the highest share we can see is of the LGV vehicles, followed by three wheelers, MGVs afterwards. And the vehicle stocks, even though we started at a very small like number of vehicles in 2011-12, those if we see the 10 to 12 years of the vehicles which have been they have completed their time and they will be scrapped, then also we have a very high number of vehicle stocks till now. So to understand these freight movement, we have looked for five different kind of industry use cases. All of these use cases are different from each other. So when we see e-commerce, we generally have the manufacturer distributor. From the manufacturer distributor, we generally supply the supply will be done from main distribution center to the warehouses, which are generally located at the end of any city. So these are generally 200 to 300 kilometers of the area. So that was tackled mainly by the MGV categories. So and from the manufacturers, from the warehouses or these sortation center, we say it will come to the delivery hubs, which are divided within the city at multiple locations. And from these locations, if we consider an example of Amazon or Flipkart, so these from these delivery hubs, these are the bikes or the two wheeler or three wheeler generally take our packages and deliver to our homes, which is generally around 5 to 7 kilometers of the distance. But food commerce is way too different than e-commerce. So in food commerce, we have our restaurants. So how this particular food commerce supply chain works, we have our gig workers who have a designated zone. They will work in those particular designated zone, and when the pickup delivery will come from the restaurant, they will go to the location of the restaurant, pick up their area, and it will generally the distance of their delivery is 5 to 7 kilometers. It sometimes adds to 10 to 12 kilometers as well. And but whenever they go extra miles, they will get extra money as well. So the food commerce supply chain works in a slightly different way. Now coming to quick commerce supply chain. So in this we have dark stores and our mother hubs. So from the main manufacturers or the mandis or the distributors, all the materials and parcels will be delivered to the mother hub, which are generally located nearby our areas, and then they will be delivered to the dark stores. So these dark stores are around 3 to 4 kilometers within our home areas, and the delivery is barely because it's a quick commerce, so it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes delivery, which we have seen in case of Jepto, then Swiggy, Instamart, and other this Blinkit as well. So these, and right now Flipkart has also their own minutes, and Amazon has also their own one day delivery system. These things are also there. So these deliveries are generally within like 10 to 15 minutes, and these are within 3 to 4 kilometer maximum. And one also important point is if we have seen in quick commerce in Gurgaon and nearby areas, the JEP vehicles, which are generally electric vehicles, two wheelers, they are used. So they work on a different mechanism, which is battery swapping mechanism. They don't charge their vehicles like after getting the vehicle, if the battery is degraded and it is the charging has lower down to the reachable SOC level, so they will get the vehicle, the battery will directly get replaced, and the another battery will be put down in the vehicle, and the vehicle is it will run back to their designated delivery area. Another one is courier services. In this, from the pan India in multiple ways, either by plane or trucks or by ships. So these these couriers will come to their warehouses, and from these warehouses, they are delivered either by, if the like size is bigger, then it will be delivered by three-wheelers, and if not, then it will be delivered by two-wheelers. In the same way, local markets works is a bit different, because here we have our markets, and from the markets the delivery will happen, but this is a very different conventional way, rather than following a simple supply chain, which is with other cases. So what we have seen is food commerce and quick commerce, because the distance is less, and because they are working on the rental or battery swapping technology, so EV readiness over these two use cases is quite high, whereas e-commerce and courier services are in a EV readiness medium category. So there, in the future, we can look more electrification in terms of e-commerce and courier services as well, because of these last mile connectivity. Also, one of the point is, if we have seen the first mile and mid mile connectivity, so mainly the EV readiness is not reached that level. Only the last mile connectivity with two-wheelers or three-wheelers have reached some potential in terms of electrification. So to check it, how, like, the data we have taken and how we need to validate it with the site, we have created the TCO, techno commercial assessment, for these vehicles. So in this, we have taken different models. So if you can see, these are our the different uh, like IC vehicles, EV driver owned, EV rental base, EV, then these two, and we have seen how we can reduce with the incentives, how much numbers we can reduce. For example, if we see IC vehicles, 3.3% is per rupees per kilometer for IC vehicles running. But if we provide incentives, then the number will get down less than 1 rupees per kilometer. So how incentives play a major role, that we can see. So best part is, in two-wheeler category, we don't even need incentives, because if we see, the TCO is already like 72% or 70% less than the main IC vehicles over here. And we can save approximate 1 lakh annual earnings for policy supported EV riders versus the IC if we use. And with battery swapping, this can be very fast, because the vehicle is not stopping for any intermediate opportunity charging, which can take around 10 to 15 or 20 minutes, depending upon the vehicle size. Now coming to three-wheelers, how three-wheeler works. So in three-wheelers, we have different segments. One is fleet aggregator owned, when the aggregator is owning those vehicles. Another is driver owned, when the driver has his own vehicle. And in the same way, we have EV with the fleet aggregator, and another one is SaaS, charging as a service model. So why we require these kind of operating models? Because when we look for different kind of operating models, we will understand which particular model works for which particular vehicular segment. There are multiple vehicular segments. There are multiple operating models. One particular operating model cannot work for each and every one of them. So we need to look for which is best suited for what. In this, like here, if we see, with the incentives, with EV incentives, this if we see this particular EV fleet aggregator, with the incentives, the TCO has reduced. In the same way, fleet aggregator SaaS model, the TCO has also reduced from 17%, 17 rupees per kilometer to 15 rupees per kilometer. And EV driver owned has also reduced from 5 rupees per kilometer to 4.5 rupees per kilometer. So these percentage will get lower with the depot charging. So around 12.5% TCO will be lower with depot charging if we provide in terms of three-wheeler category. In terms of LGVs, the segmentation is also different, because generally we have our fleet aggregator owners, we have SaaS model as well, and one more which is currently been establishing across the market is EV leasing. So earlier there was no leasing part in LGV category, but now the person can take the vehicle on lease for a day or a month or a week, so they can run accordingly. They have to pay per day basis for the lease costing as well. So this is one another operation model. So how the costing can be reduced? So if you see, in other categories we have vehicular cost, but in EV leasing model we don't have the vehicular cost. What we have is higher leasing cost. So those depends. If the time frame is less than and the person doesn't want to buy a vehicle for a certain time frame, like 7 or 8 years, or just require it for 2 to 3 years, then leasing can be one feasible option in that category. So with TCO, we can bring with policy incentives, we can bring the TCO lower to 21% with depot charging in LGV categories as well. When we talk about MGVs are generally from 7.5 to 18.5 tons, and they now run on a longer route. So because the costing will be way too high of the vehicular cost, so we will need some early stage incentives to support the particular MGV category, because they will with the high kilometers they will require opportunity charging for sure in between. So the battery costing will again be required. The battery will be degraded after 3 to 4 years, depending upon the number of kilometers, and eventually they will require the replacement cost as well. Hence, the replacement cost will be higher in terms of MGV categories as well. So here you can see we have to add battery replacement cost as well in terms of EVs, and still, with the fleet aggregator model, it will be less. With this, we have list down the number of barriers. So these barriers are different for different kind of ownership and a different kind of vehicular segments. So for the charging, we need to look for, because some, in terms of fleet aggregator models, they have to provide charging depots by themselves. And then in those category, we can look for RE powered opportunities, charging opportunities as well. And in with charging with RE, we can also look for storage, because storage is one of the most essential part for these kind of fleet aggregator models. For ownership, we have just either we like till now we know that only driver owned or fleet aggregator model exists, but we can also look for battery as a service, where the battery can be served for a certain time frame, and afterwards the next battery can be replaced. The another option is a leasing model, which is certainly way too popular in two-wheeler category like Jeep and these kind of vehicles. But we can also explore these kind of subscription based model in three-wheelers and LGV categories. Which brings me to my last slide, which is to identify these policy roadmap depending upon these targeted incentives. So how we have defined is we have not looked for one homogeneous set of targets for each kind of vehicle. We have looked for different vehicular segments and worked for each segment as a separate identity. So one size shouldn't fit all. That works in this way as well. So for two wheelers, we might not that much of incentives, but for MGVs, we need that much of incentives. So our interventions are different for each categories. For example, in two wheelers, we can, with the lower cost of two wheelers right now in markets, we already have reached the parity, and that's why we can expect 100% electrification within a very short time frame. If it is mandated that we need to buy only electric vehicles, then it can be easily be taken. For three wheelers category, 70% of new registration can be expected in the next for like 2040. For LGV category, we can expect 100 from 1000 to 5000 electric LGV deployed by 2030, and from 2035 it can scale up to 5000 as well. In terms of MGVs, we can still target from 20% to 50% of new registration vehicles, considering these rising numbers of electrification and charging infrastructure.
Thank you so much. You know, when you I mean, we were looking at the bus, which is a lot more homogeneous system. But freight, when it comes to the heterogeneity of this, the diversity, and what you showed in terms of diversity in business models and in the operational models, they're so different. And yet, in each segment, we are seeing the opportunity for upscaled electrification because the technology costs are getting lower and lower. And therefore, there's a much bigger scope of wider adoption in the freight and the e commerce segment, which is otherwise going to be a very polluting segment in our city. But that can become totally zero emission. So I think that really gives us the final message of this session. I mean, even though we would love to take questions, but I know we are running against time. So we will take the questions to informal discussion after the session. But just to say that it has really been an incredible session to get insight from you to understand what are the emerging lessons, what can we learn from each other to be able to design better systems and that is scalable, and which also so at one level how to overcome the technology barriers, and that of course will be a continuous process of evolution. But along with that, how do you therefore combine that with design solutions to make it a lot more implementable? So with that, a big thank you, and also a big clap and a hand to our panelists. Thank you so much. So we'll now invite Rajneesh to take over the next session, which is on construction and demolition waste.
So I need you, madam, here for a few seconds. Just have a seat. I need you for some time. So, so good evening. Right. So we'll have a quick session on CND, but before we'll get into this, I need a few more people to join. Like our session, Krishnendu Dattaji, please can you join us on the stage? And then Raghuramji, please can you join us on the stage? And Anuj Maheshwari ji, can you join us on the stage? And I understand Mr. Kawar Singh was there, but somehow I think he has stepped out for a phone call or something. Maybe he returned. But we also welcome Sanjay Kumar ji, Chairperson HRC, because he just come back from he's from Gurgaon. He's joining us because I'm sure he has a lot of busy schedule too. Yeah, please. And I want PP Singh ji also to join. We have a book release. We have book release. Then you can choose to go back in case. Shiny, can you bring the book release? So most of the time, what we are seeing in and I want Principal Madam also to join. Sangeeta Bagaji, please. Uh, so most of the time when we look at CND, construction and demolition and dust management, most of the time we talk about the project area project. We know that construction is happening. We have screens around it. We have maybe the wind barriers and things like those. But many times we lack onto something called a linear project, which is your metro, your high flyovers, any of your projects which are there. So when, sir, we need you also. So this particular book, which we're going to release now, we were waiting for Sanjay ji to join so that we can do the release of this. So this particular book is talking about the linear project, where we look at brownfield, greenfield, all types of projects where our construction kind of development move closer to the habitation area, also goes into the greenfield areas, and what are the kind of concerns which comes up in this. So I'll request all of us, we'll take a group photograph for a release of this. Shiny, can you also join us? So, Sangeeta madam wanted to communicate to all of you. Well, maybe for 2-3 minutes, she wanted will allow ask her to first give a address to this, and then we'll start with our CND sessions after that. Madam, please.
A very good afternoon. It is an honor and a privilege for me as the head of the Chandigarh College of Architecture to be present here at the very kind and gracious invite we received from the Haryana chapter. And my special thanks to PP Singh sir, who's always been very generous with his invites, to Sanjay Kumar sir, who's always on the WhatsApp, like he's just not even a phone call away. He's just a WhatsApp away. And last week, when he mentioned that this event is on and that we would like to bring in the students from the architecture college, it could not have been more delightful because we just started our session and we had the postgraduate students with us. So all of them are here today, sir, to get the benefit from CSE for this. And it is the first public forum that the first years are witnessing. So for us, we have written a little piece of history, and we are very happy to be in the state of Haryana for this. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Anumita Roy Chaudhary, madam, for creating and curating such a wonderful set of not just deliberations but also presentations, which are greatly eye openers for our students and for the faculty who are accompanying us. Because mobility, circular economy, pollution, you have almost touched upon every aspect of urban infrastructure and the way cities are envisioned today. Some of them are also doing dissertations, so it's an important forum for them to pick up topics for dissertation that they could further explore on. So for us, believe me, it's been actually a great experience. The first session focused on not just the EV, but also the way the EV is taking to the roads and the infrastructure that needs to be planned along with it. So the way the bus operates right from the point it starts to the training of the drivers to the charging stations. So for the students, it's been a real great insight. And I think that's been very useful. The hands-on practice, which one of the presenters talked about, the way they plan the stations and the kind of accidents that a quiet electric bus can create catastrophe on the Indian roads. I mean, those videos were very, very bizarre, and they actually have opened our minds to what we are. In some ways, we are trying to de-stress the infrastructure, but at the same time, we are causing for another chaos. So the trade-offs are some things and are pointers in the direction where we need to think and what could be better than a student audience for it. So with that and all the wonderful sessions I'm sure which are going to unfold, I'm thankful to be here and I'm very proud that of our association with the department. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we'll get into a subject which is like bricks and bats, construction and demolition waste, right? So why it's so important? Because as when you look at source apportionments, we know that around 40 or sometimes even 70% the air pollution comes from the dust, which comes from your roads, which comes from your construction works and all that kind of thing. So that contributes a huge amount of dust in that case. So of course, it's a new upcoming sector. 2016 was the time when CND got introduced in our country. We got a revised rule in 2025, which is a little more robust. Robust in the sense because when this Swachh Sarvekshan started, CND used to have 50 marks, and today CND has 250 marks. So that means there is a focus which is coming onto construction and demolition waste. Though it was not a problem because it stays there, it doesn't stinks. It can only create mountains, but the only problem which is there with the CND is it can go into your water bodies, it can block the roads, it can cause a lot of dust arising when the winds start coming in. So CND, though it's was not respected as a element of you can say main importance, but now it is taking a leap. So 2025, what we have done is extended producer responsibility. Now that's tricky in the sense that now you not only know that who produces it and what quantities they produce, what are their moral responsibilities, and they have to take charge of what they have done, right? So that's what the CND is all about. So what when we have these three speakers, So why we selected them? First, we are talking. Krishnenduji will talk about the experience of Kolkata. Kolkata is not a small municipality, which generally we have Kolkata Municipal Corporation. It's a KMA area, 44 ULBs in one bunch and one plant. Now, how this demand and how this crisscrossing happens, we don't have those kind of fancy stuff for EV, what was exposed to you, that you have a recharging charging station or something. We have hauling, which is needs to be dealt in, and how these things become practically concerned when you have a collection regime, you have disposal coming in, whether your materials get picked up, whether your products which you make go into the market or not. So a lot of questions comes in, and I think that will be a quick experience which we get from him. Then Raghuram is, you can say his Hyderabad model is very different. He has invested most of the time. The government, like when you were hearing about this bus depot and the bus investment, mostly government is supporting, state government is giving money, central government is giving you money. So typically this similar kind of things happen in PPP models for CND also, but his setup is altogether very different, where he invested. So that means there's some sense of business which is coming. So we'd like to understand that how that journey would have been difficult and how this has been improved upon, how CND becomes one of the, you can say, a model for us to look forward that. Anuj is a new generation game altogether. So he's going to actually tell you what after this 2025 we needed a dashboard, a platform by which I know where the waste is coming, where it is going, and how much quantity of transaction is happening. City governments needs to know about it. So there's a dashboard which required to be created. So with the recent success, he has this platform running for Delhi as well as for Mumbai. You know, imagine the two big sharks he has already taken care for, and rest of the cities like smaller one which we work and deal with, like in the NCR. I'm sure that they will have a sooner take off from there, because these are the two which was the most trickiest one to having Mumbai under control, the financial capital, and having the administrative capital, in any case Delhi, under control. Hopefully the India will take a plunge into a different direction. So now I'll ask Krishnendu to give us a brief in 10 minutes. कहाँ चले गए आप? Okay. So now anybody can click on wherever they want.
You have at the back now? Okay. देरी हो रहा है ना वो. एक चला देता हूँ. भाई कॉपी तो उसमें किया था.
So in that case, I have to request Raghuram to please till the time we can find that video. You want to go from there? Or here? अब बाद में शायद स्क्रीन पे आ रहा है ना तो अभी कुछ टाइम के लिए हाँ ठीक है 10 minutes you're right yours is done no no video
Okay, I will search it. He wants the video.
no he will go
Okay,
and
okay.
then yours is working no आप इसको सॉर्ट कर लो ना तब तक इनको दे दो
हाँ चलेगा. Yeah, good evening all. Krishnendu ji is ready, and but I got the opportunity, so I'll continue. Okay, so thank you, Krishnendu ji. Yeah,
good nice presentation
thank you. So we are running short of time. So Rajnish sir has given me 10 minutes. I'll complete. I try to complete in 10 minutes or before only. So I'm an urban planner by profession. I worked in 15 years in various consulting firms. Then I thought, like, no, after Swachh Bharat and all these initiatives, so started the journey of entrepreneur in C&D waste. Okay, so with my own investment, so I invested in the C&D plant. We did some research. Then we started this journey. So we got a very good initial response from government. Okay, so one challenge every city government, as Rajni said, is like C&D is neglected. Nobody is talking about C&D waste seriously. Okay, so either it is getting mixed with the it's mixed with the solid waste. Okay, so one simple example, what our observation from Hyderabad is, so entire this solid waste in Hyderabad is generating around 6,000 tons, 7,000 tons. Out of that 7,000 tons, around 30 to 35% is the debris or the construction demolition waste. So that's okay, nobody is bothered or they are happy with that. But the rate for solid waste collection is 2,009 rupees per ton, where the rate per C&D waste is 450 rupees per ton. So we told to the government, sir, this is the biggest scam you're doing. Instead of separating the waste and sending separately and encouraging the C&D waste, you are mixing the waste and depleting the public resources or wasting the taxpayers' money. First point. Second point, Hyderabad, some of this high-tech city area is one of the richest area. Okay, the land value is per acre, it is around 300 crore rupees. So there's 85 acres of land just encroached by all the debris, C&D waste debris. So government want to now sell the land and encash that money from that land, but they're unable to process the waste. Okay, so that is second challenge. And finally, when we started our plan, some research, and when we have started the C&D waste operations, we find difficulty in selling the recycled product. Government is one way worried about air pollution, waste management. Other way, they are not amending their existing rules of standard operating procedures or standard schedule of rates, where the C&D recycled product can be taken. And we find it difficult, to sell the product. So we did our R&D, and we have to reach out to the product players. So we are able to successful. Then, we highlighted some of the challenges, how the C&D waste is being transported or dumped into water bodies. Okay, so how the government land is getting encroached, even private land is getting encroached. All that study we have done, and finally, government has come with a new regulation. Okay, so maybe for anybody, so what we have done for Haryana or Delhi, so we have got the 6 rules. So first thing is all the public work contractors, whoever the public work contractor who is doing a ID is generated. I think Anuj will tell more about that. So the ID is generated, and the waste he has to have a tie-up with the recycler. So first step, because we know. So every time, no, it is a misperception, misconception that we cannot track the waste. So definitely solid waste is a challenging, but C&D waste we know the generator, because solid waste can be packed in a small cover and he can throw wherever he required. But construction waste, a huge volume is huge. So when we said this, the first point is a public work contractor. GHMC has around 8,000 crores budget. Okay, entire budget of GHMC. In that, 2,000 2,500 goes towards the public works. Okay, so this amount of works will generate huge debris. So we told, no sir, this if these waste contractors are tied up, or we have a system where this can be tracked, the waste can come to us. Second is building permission. All the new building permissions or demolitions, all this, GHMC and other organization give 2,000 building permissions every month. So we highlighted that this building permission data also can be integrated, and new building construction can be aligned with the plant. third is all the public work contractors or CPWD, or we have R&B, or we have irrigation department. That is one thing, and central government departments, private truck operators, special projects like metro rail, all this. So we have mapped every organization that is generating debris except the renovation waste, which is negligible. Okay, but all the major generator we have mapped, and we have now started collecting the waste from every one of them. So government understood the value of the C&D waste recycling. They have started the issuing the GO orders. Now it's an implementation stage. Okay, it's very slow, but it's in the implementation stage. So now then we got the all the recyclers or the generators mapped to the recyclers. Now we started R&D and our product. So with all the efforts from our team, we could able to generate good quality sand, aggregate, and we are the first company to have applied the putty also, because entire process we get some of the components like sand, aggregate, and slurry. The slurry contains some cement in that. Okay, so when we did R&D, we thought so normal birla putty contains dolomite, lignite kind of chemicals. So we have developed a putty which is uh, chemical free, VOC free, volatile organic component free. So that also we have produced and we are applying. And so most of our customers are architects, not engineers. Okay, so architects in their planning profession or in their regular practice, so they are using a new product. So one best product we would like to, the project we got is from Kritika Architects. So all the architects, they want experiment from recycling or reused material, we're able to sell. And the first company we have we are soon going to we got an investor and we're planning to expand to other cities also, and this is definitely possible. So many times we got a misconception or your own capital investment into public private partnership kind of projects very challenging, but we made it possible. So as on date we are running in losses, but soon will be profitable. The reason is we are not taking any waste from the government. We are only asking government to enhance us or enable us to collect the waste from the private truck operators or public waste generators. So C&D waste can definitely be a zero expensive model to the government. So that's the kind of initiative we are doing. And yeah, so thank you, sir. Thank you all.
So understand that how from urban planning to this. So this is where the Raghuram is trying to tell you that of it's not, our job is just not making about the plans. Our job is also to look at the circular economy as one of the principle. And imagine talking about this thing is like keep talking about, we keep presenting about these stuff, but somebody who goes puts an investment and try to see that whether this functions could deliver to that city, and one of ours, the person who's attempting, one of our urban planner who's doing this, so that becomes an interesting case study for us to look at. Now Krishnendraji's interesting video is back online, so we'll go through that.
Uh, I should say almost good evening. Uh, there was a small hiccup. I was just not able find the file. So myself, Krishnendu Datta, I am from RE Sustainability Limited, and we are operating 7 CND facilities, and so uh, we are having 3 distinct divisions in our business. One is taking care of the hospital services, one is taking care of the industrial waste management, and our division is taking focused on the circular economy solution. So since I am in Haryana, I will also like to share you that the recycled registered vehicle scrapping facility in Jhajar is operated by our company only. If you are familiar, any of you, since we are talking about the transport and end of life vehicle disposal, so we have a facility already operating in Jhajar. So I'll just share you the Kolkata. फिर से पीसी ओनली में चला गया यहाँ से डुप्लीकेट कर तो रहे हो
डुप्लीकेट्स ऑटोमेटिकली पीसीएमई में चला जा रहा है। कोलकाता
पॉज कर दो अभी now do that duplicate एक्सटेंड कर दो
नहीं ले रहे सर।
नहीं अभी इसने उठाया ही नहीं ये वीडियो इस लैपटॉप में नहीं डाल सकते
नहीं बड़ा फाइल है ना मूवी का, ट्रांसफर नहीं हो रहा।
पेन ड्राइव के थ्रू हो जाता है तो हो गया तो रुका क्यों
सर ये उन्होंने पॉज किया ना फिर ऑटोमेटिकली चला गया।
The city of joy, our beloved joyous city, the
Windows
capital
P.
of
Windows
West
P.
Bengal. Every moment the city is growing, its size, population, and daily challenges.
वो स्क्रीन ब्लिंक हो जाती है ना so I'll sort this up maybe Anuj we need you in that case by the time I'll sort this I'll copy this and put it in another computer that's better I'll give you a pen drive presentation
All right, good to play a part of the filler. I think I'll take a step back and just a few quick questions we can start because I thought I'll be more of answering the questions rather than talking myself. But maybe just by a raise of hands, before this session was introduced, and I think very aptly introduced by Rajni sir, how many of us were aware about CND, construction and demolition, maybe waste and its implication on air pollution as a subject? Okay, good number of hands. At least people are awake. Thank you. Uh, okay. Second question, CND in terms of management, regulation, governance, or maybe a municipal topic. You know, it's a pain for a lot of municipal corporations. Any understanding on those lines? So we discussed whether people know CND, and now we're talking about whether we know the interface between CND and the corporations and the municipal corporations, city governments. Anyone? So thank you so much. So lesser hands on the second questions. The second question, I'm sorry. Uh, we discussed. Rajni sir introduced. Raghu also emphasized on how CND was hived off from solid waste management rules back in 2016, and there are new regulations now putting onus on the generator. The book that we've just launched, I think this is very relevant, sir, because the regulation itself missed out on the linear construction part, and this is one of the major contributor to the CND waste generation. Now, construction and demolition, I noticed when Rajnish sir were talking about, he was just saying CND. He didn't use the word waste much because construction and demolition waste is primarily a material management and an urban governance problem more than a waste problem per se. As Raghu highlighted, it used to get mixed with solid waste. That was one of the major problem. Uh, the perspective that I am bringing in is, how do we strengthen the governance around this particular material so that from the point of generation, who is going to generate how much? So in cities, we are now, no, I mean, you go to a city and ask how much CND waste are you estimated to generate, they'll give some estimation number. We don't want city to do estimation. We want city to monitor or govern what are the generation profiles, what are the generation trends, what are the key contributors. In some city it could be demolition based, in some city it could be greenfield construction based, in some city it could be infrastructure development based. So every city has a different profile. No two cities operate similarly in terms of their bylaws, in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of their operational capabilities and so forth. So every city needs, so it's not about just creating a dashboard or just creating a portal to show that okay, we are a smart city and we are managing this. What is important is to stitch the operational aspect of a corporation digitally so that their monitoring, governance and their workflows are digitized and automated. That's something we did in Delhi about 5 6 months back. Incidentally, I am here today, and our portal in Mumbai just got launched today. It went live for the public, for all the stakeholders. uh, I think 3 days back we had a meeting with the municipal commissioner of Delhi, and now he's elevating the Delhi Malba portal to the next level. All the pending integrations being done. What we have developed for Mumbai is the most comprehensive ecosystem for construction waste, not only in India, perhaps globally, whatever we've studied and observed. Why is because it brings the entire ecosystem together, from generators, be it citizens or builder developer or infra agencies or civil contractors of the corporation itself. Then transportation system. In Delhi, we have collection network. In Mumbai, we have a separate ecosystem for disposal of excavated material, soil, rock, and other such material. So bringing the entire ecosystems together to see to it, and where CND becomes a problem in the air pollution space is either unnecessary transportation or sporadic dumping or not knowing what to be done with it. It goes into water body, it goes into mangroves, it's just lying down the roadside, again leading to air pollution, and it's pure PM 2.5, PM 10, impacting the respiratory systems. So it is important to see to it that we know who is generating and who is going to generate how much of it, how much has been channelized, what is pending, then traceability, how the transportation is happening, how much hubs and how much spokes, or is it end to end, where the transportations are happening, how the recycling ecosystems are functioning. Most of the cities have installed capacities and the utilization is far below the installed capacities. And finally, offtake. Most of the recyclers in the country struggle with offtake of the recycled products. So, what if we have one digital ecosystem which integrates everything and is customized to a city level operation? Why I say customized to a city level operational ecosystem is, take case of Delhi and Mumbai, which I was talking about. Delhi has 100 and more than 100 collection centers. So there are collection centers. C&D waste comes there, and from there it goes to the recycling facility. Mumbai has none. Right, so Mumbai, it's directly whatever the load is. I mean, of course, the very smaller loads from domestic generators gets aggregated, but otherwise the load directly travels to the recycling facilities. There are cities who does not have any recycling infrastructure, but they would have IWSFs, intermediary waste storage facilities. So it is important that, depending on cities' own bylaws, operational strengths, prevailing infrastructure, their own transportation mechanism, the kind of PPP arrangements they have, these needs to be customized. And unless the material movement is not tracked, the generation is not monitored, the disposal, the recycling, the offtake is not interlinked, I think the system remains fragmented, and then CND becomes a waste problem, and that persists. So I think that's about it. Happy to answer any questions on this, maybe after the session or maybe offline. But this is the point that we wanted to drop, that there are new regulations. They have added more responsibilities on the ULB. They were already lack of financial and human resources, but then doing the governance of waste management plan and utilization plan and monitoring and traceability and periodic reports and annual returns to SPCBs and CPCB, all the more workload. Any waste stream, if it's traceable, it's manageable. That's it from mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is quite an inspiration. Raghu coming and telling his urban planners running a plans. Anuj is telling about how excited is this world, right? Now imagine CND looks very sound very fancy and like very clear cut solutions to you, but no, it's not that straightforward. But though, yes, it's a good motivation to say, in case you are looking for something to work on CND, please try to visit. In case you are in Chandigarh, CCA guys, you should go to, if you go to Lente Mall, it's very close, walking distance from there is a CND plant, which is government owned and operated 100 TPD plant. You can just go and see that what exactly has been done. Even I think they're putting up a car unit, the scrapping unit also there. But right now, I'm not sure whether they started, but they have loads of vehicles one over the another. A good zoom, you can say zoom in of to understand how this, when they remain as a waste and do not come into a circular economy, how they look like as a hurdle to you. We are back on this. So now Krishnenduji with 3.0.
उधर ले जाने से it is actually it is a big file, so नहीं वो लैपटॉप से
This is, I think, that EV bus which needs to switch off and switch on, or maybe turn twist it 45 degrees and then it can go.
Key sustainability initiative that will help to protect cities' environmental health amidst long-term development goals. Kolkata, the city of joy. Our beloved joyous city, the capital of West Bengal. Every moment the city is growing, its size, population and daily challenges. And with the evolution of modern technology, our favorite city is also changing. Kolkata remains one of the most densely populated cities in our country. With rapid socio-economic progress, taking care of the existing infrastructure and ensuring a healthy environment for its citizens rests upon Kolkata Municipal Corporation. A pollution-free environment is crucial for a healthy lifestyle. The KMC makes sure of proper management of the waste generated by the humongous population of Kolkata. For instance, when a multi-story building is crumbled down into stone and dust, how is the waste disposed of? The demolition or construction of new buildings, widening of roads, repair of footpaths, each of these creates a huge amount of construction and demolition waste. To address this challenge, the Kolkata Municipal Corporation partnered with Resustainability Limited through its subsidiary company, Hyderabad Integrated MSW Limited, to recycle the construction and demolition wastes into reusable materials. The Kolkata Construction and Demolition Recycle project has become a key sustainability initiative that will help to protect cities' environmental health amidst long-term development goals. The 1600 TPD construction and demolition plant has been developed at Pathurghata New Town. Under this initiative, C&D wastes are being collected on a daily basis and recycled to use raw materials and made available as sustainable construction inputs. The recycling of C&D waste is one of the many initiatives of National Clean Air Program to abate air pollution.
ন্যাশনাল ক্লিন এয়ার প্রোগ্রামের আন্ডারে কলকাতা শহরে এই সিএনডি ওয়েস্ট ম্যানেজমেন্ট প্রজেক্টটা বানানো হয়েছে। কলকাতা মিউনিসিপ্যাল কর্পোরেশনের আন্ডারে বিভিন্ন বোরো থেকে সিএনডি ওয়েস্ট তুলে নিয়ে এসে এখানে প্রক্রিয়াকরণ করা হয়। এই সিএনডি ওয়েস্ট কলকাতা শহরের যেমন এয়ার পলিউশনে বৃদ্ধি করত, তেমনি দৃশ্য দূষণেও এর একটা বিশেষ ভূমিকা ছিল। তো আশা করা যায় যে এই প্রজেক্টের মাধ্যমে সেই দূষণগুলোকে অনেক কমানো যাবে এবং পরিবেশকে রক্ষা করা যাবে। 2023-এর এপ্রিল থেকে এই প্রজেক্টটা চলছে এবং আমরা ইতিমধ্যেই 2 বছর অতিক্রম করে এসেছি।
Kolkata Municipal Corporation has deployed 50 new vehicles to collect C&D waste from 16 boroughs of the city. These waste-loaded trucks are then weighed on the weighbridge. Then the vehicles channel over the ramp one after the other and reach the 32 feet high tipping floor. And dispose of the collected waste at the dump hopper. To control the fugitive dust emissions, modern dust suppressant technology such as water sprinklers and fog cannon are used inside the plant. A highly advanced crushing machine is used for processing the waste. The primary crusher is a jaw crusher operated from a central control panel. From the jaw crusher, the materials moves onwards through a horizontal conveyor to the next stage, where a magnetic separator removes metals. Then it is transported to a surge hopper. Before reaching the cone crusher, secondary segregation is done through a magnetic sensor. And secondary crushing is done through the cone crusher. Finally, the crushed materials go through a vibrating screen, where they are separated and graded. After screening, the materials are classified into 10 mm, 20 mm and 40 mm aggregates, which are ready to be reused. From the end shoot, -4 mm aggregates are mixed with water to form slurry and sent to the CDE sand washer. Through pressure filtration, both coarse and fine fractions are separated and collected for reuse.
So this is about the project. I will not take long time. The video is another 3-4 minutes. Now regarding EPR, we have been consecutively meeting with CPCB, and we are apprising all the officials and the government officials as well as the generators for the EPR uh, registration. So how the KMC works, KMC gets this waste from three sources. There is a portal called EODB, Ease of Doing Business. So whenever somebody applies for the building plan sanction, KMC has put up a own calculation that for demolition and new construction, this much of waste will be generated per square meter of the constructed area. So the the project proponent, the builder, the person who is approaching KMC for the building plan sanction, they are submitting the CND fees, and KMC is charging around rupees 970 rupees per ton for these fees, so that they can support our tipping fees as well as they can take care of the logistics. The second revenue the source of CND is that in the 16 borough there are 16 SWM offices, solid waste management offices, and from there the small renovation and repair work that has been reported to the boroughs. So the borough in charge then builds the generator and drifts the waste and it comes to us. So these two sources we call the claimed waste, because we know who is the generator, and there is a definite revenue intake by KMC for providing the service. And the third component is called the unclaimed waste. So if you see, there are few people who dump small quantities on the roadside, so they specifically don't have a owner. So this part the ULB is picking up out of their own pocket. So we had done an analysis and we have found that now after 3 years, through public awareness, 85% of the KMC revenues are coming from the claim source, and only 15% is that it is coming from the unclaimed source. So the project in a total has been totally sustainable financially. So the ULB is getting their share, and ultimately we are processing the waste and we are getting the charges. So that's it. If anybody visits Calcutta, I will cordially invite to visit our Newtown facility. It is one of the biggest facility in Eastern region. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this brings us to the close of CND and session, and I now want Sanjay ji to be there because we we missed him in the morning, and in fact I miss him a lot because he was my senior, immediate senior in college, So since I could not spend much time with him, so I would like to now. The, he will tell us that how the sessions were. I think we need a very critical review also from him.
Thanks, Rajneesh. And I'm sorry I missed the sessions early afternoon. And I suppose I'm here to give the vote of thanks. I think because these sessions that I saw were wonderful, wonderful and actually practical. I'm coming from Gurgaon. I know what the situation is with respect to CND waste and the flood. That I know all of you must have seen that also. So I'll talk a few words to the students also because. But first of all, let me complete my lecture. Sort of. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of ITPI-HRC. First, I sincerely thank CSC for partnering with ITPI in organizing this important workshop on driving clean air in Haryana. This workshop has provided a valuable platform to discuss sustainable transport, construction and demolition waste management, and stronger implementation of the Haryana Clean Air Project for Sustainable Development. My sincere thanks to all the distinguished speakers, senior officers, experts, and practitioners who shared their insights and practical experiences today. Your contributions have made the discussions extremely meaningful. I particularly appreciate the participation of faculty and students from CCA, Sushant School, Lovely Professional University, representative from government departments. Such cross sectoral coordination is essential if we are to translate clean air strategies into measurable actions. As town planners, we have a special responsibility. Clean air is not only an environmental issue, it is fundamentally a planning and urban management issue. The way we plan our mobility, cities, infrastructure, construction practices, and waste systems directly influence the quality of life of our citizens. I'm confident that the ideas and experiences shared today will help Haryana move towards cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable cities. Finally, I thank the entire CSC and ITPI Haryana teams for their efforts in bringing all stakeholders together, and I thank each one of you for your valuable presence and participation. Lastly, a few lines for our Gen Z who are here, that is the students of architecture and planning, particularly the UGs. I just want to highlight the importance of urban planning as career after you pass out from your colleges. As you must have seen a few live projects here, uh, we have a number of reputed colleges also like SPA, SEPT, etc. And in fact, DCRUST also we have in our Haryana Sushant school. So from where you can do your masters in urban planning also. Urban planning, housing, environment, transport. This 2 year course will open up a whole stream of career options like real estate, urban planning, transport planning, infrastructure, GIS, etc. So I'm requesting you all, suggesting you all to have a deep thought after your architecture, after your architecture is finished. You better have a look at these options also. In the end, I thank you all. Let us work together towards a cleaner and healthier Haryana. Thank you.
So now we close this session and we maybe a group photograph, and then we go ahead to have a tea, a little high. It's called high tea.
Everyone, please join us, all students. कैसे?